across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be your host for the next 3 thrilling hours of news, views and topical debate all the way to 10 o'clock. Get involved, get stuck in and call me on 0344 499 1000 or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number. And I promise to play your message out. Lots to talk about tonight. You really will want to get on the phone. That's 0344 499 1000. It is Thursday, July the 31st, end of the month. Here's what's coming up. An extraordinary, sinister development as the full horror of Labour's free speech crackdown emerges and puts paid to the government's blatant lies that the Online Safety Act is purely to protect children from pornography and violence on the internet. Those wishing to read a harmless story about Britain's most popular names were blocked. Instead, they were greeted with the disturbing message, due to local laws, we are temporarily restricting this content. And what was the shock story that was deemed so dangerous to see? That in the newly published list of Britain's most popular names, no one in the past year has called their kid Keir. That's it. Just a bit of fun, as we learned that inevitably, as is the case every year now, the UK's top name is Mohammed. But in terms of Keir, welcome to Labour's totalitarian state, where even gently mocking our supreme leader is apparently banned, not permitted by order of the tyrannical state. Frankly, folks, unbloody believable. That same disturbing local law message was put out to prevent people looking at film footage of last weekend's asylum seeker hotel protests. This is it, a full-scale Orwellian assault on freedom of speech and expression. Turbocharged censorship is upon us. Is this 2025 or 1984? You decide. 0344 499 1000. In other news, the stupid chief executive behind Jaguar's disastrous rebrand has quit after sales of the classic British car plummeted by, wait for it, 97.5%. Why? Because the hapless Adrian Mardell failed to note that if you go woke, you go broke. Why do companies keep doing this? Destroying everything they stand for, self-harming, to try to be modern, groovy and painfully politically correct. Madness. 0344 499 1000. Also tonight, new statistics reveal that the UK's rapidly expanding population grew by a staggering 700,000 in the year up to June 2024, the second largest increase since records began in 1949, eclipsed only by the previous year, 2023, when the astonishing figure was 821,210, and still the Blairite morons in Westminster insist that this grotesque swelling of our population is a good thing. Do you think it is? 0344 499 1000. Plus, the angry migrant crisis protests continue apace all across the country. Furious communities demonstrating against the hundreds of unknown foreign men foisted upon them by the government's hopeless policies. And two-tier Keir has yet to say a word on the rising tide of wide-scale unrest sweeping the country. He's too busy worrying about Palestine, recognising Palestine, something that for most people means absolutely nothing. What is wrong with this guy? Why won't he talk about the issue that is a source of serious concern to millions of long-suffering Brits. 0344 499 1000. Oh, and by the way, another 898 migrants crossed the Channel illegally yesterday, bringing the tally since last Wednesday to a stellar 1,769 new arrivals that will cost taxpayers £71 million over the next year alone. That's 1 week's worth. 71 million quid. Fantastic, isn't it? How's two tiers smash the gang strategy going? 0344 499 1000. Reform UK's Dame Andrea Jenkins joins me in an hour to put broken Britain to rights, and I'll talk to a former asylum seeker hotel security guard whose tales of horror about what goes on behind closed migrant doors will shock you. And finally, Kinsey Schofield, our royal guru, is ready with all the latest loony news from Planet Meghan. Can't wait. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Thursday night together. And I'm very pleased, not sure if he's ever done this before, but I've got Robert Bates here, the director of the Centre for Migration Control, who'll be with me for the next 60 minutes. Have you done this before?
I don't think I've done this before. It's the first time, so go easy on me,
well,
please.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough, so you better be up
the
to
hot
speed.
seat.
Yeah. No, seriously, great to have you here.
Thanks
because
for having me.
particularly because we've got some migrant crisis-related stories, some very important stories to discuss. We'll kick off with this. I mean, these were new figures released yesterday by the Office of National Statistics. They take a time to catch up, but they reveal, these are the latest numbers, that in the year up until June 2024, so kind of last year, we suffered or endured, if you like, the second largest increase in population since records began in 1949. That was 700,000. More than 700,000 more people came into the country. Now, in fact, in that year, the new arrivals topped the million mark. They were 1,142,303. But the ONS estimate that about 452,000 people left the UK during that year. So the final growth added up to be precise, a stellar 706,881. So getting on for 707,000. Now, Nigel Farage has just said we cannot carry on like this. I mean, it's not just Nigel saying this. This is ridiculous, isn't it? And we know that although they have brought numbers down a little, we are still swelling in terms of our population every single year right now. Something to the tune of 500,000, 600,000 every single year. 70 million people crammed into this country officially. When I was a kid, a long time ago, admittedly, the population was 55 million. It's now 70 million. That's the official figures. They estimate there may be 10 million people in this country we don't even know about. Now, these are small islands. This is a small island. We are full, aren't we? Our infrastructure is creaking at the seams. This can't go on.
It's a completely unsustainable state of affairs, and as you pointed out in your opening piece, this is the second year in a row where effectively numbers have gone way beyond any historical precedent. I think it's very important to start with that we recognise that this is completely the doing of the Conservative Party and what they introduced.
Yeah. 15 years of misgovernment.
15 years. They got given a golden opportunity when we voted to leave the European Union. They took us out, a chance to finally restore order to our borders. Instead, what they put in place was effectively a system that was more lax than when we were actually members of the European Union. They threw the door wide open on low-skilled, low-wage routes, primarily other individuals coming as family members and dependents, and this has had a huge consequence on the living standards of the British public. You know, we have over 1 million people right now waiting on the social housing list for accommodation. We have you know, a woeful track record of actually building enough houses for the existing population, let alone when we're increasing the numbers at this rate as well. GP surgeries, school places, you know, is all anecdotal, but people are all feeling the squeeze now. Things are starting to feel full. The country is starting to feel like it is at breaking point. We're starting to see the real pressures and the implications. And of course, the real consequence of this is that we've seen over the last couple of years, GDP per capita, which is effectively the best measurement of how good our life is, has been in absolute freefall. I think we also need to recognise that with migration driving all of this population growth, where we're heading as a society isn't as a isn't as a unified national society with a collective identity and a collective set of norms and values. I think what we're actually seeing now with these numbers is a woeful lack of assimilation from those recent arrivals. We're seeing a real fragmentation of society. I think we're at the point now where we need to start listening to what polling suggests is the British public's most preferred immigration system, which is a net negative system where we actually see more people leaving the country than are entering the country, because numbers like these are just
only net zero I'm interested in.
Well, effectively, yeah, exactly. You know, we've
Migrant net zero, that'll do me, yeah.
The numbers that we have seen over the last couple of years, without historical precedent, you know, we're seeing 20 years worth of net migration in 1 year, effectively. That is not something that anyone ever voted for, and I think people increasingly start to think, you know, who are politicians actually beholden to? What ideology has led them down this route? Because we're not seeing the economic growth that they constantly assure us that immigration will lead to, and we're certainly not seeing a kind of harmonious society, a multicultural paradise being created either.
It's a disaster. I mean, it started by Blair, but this actually goes back before even Tony Blair. The population of England and Wales has been increasing steadily every year since 1982, and that sort of gradual increase has now turned into, you know, a very, very fast increase. Blair and his mob, there are still idiots in Parliament who do believe that expanding our population is good for our economy, good for our culture, and nothing could be further from the truth. It isn't good for the economy because most of these people come in, I mean, we're not talking about captains of industry and top executive and doctors and engineers. We're talking about low-skilled, low-paid workers. Now, there's something, you know, companies like that, they like low-paid workers from abroad because it saves them a lot of money. But these people, although, you know, they'll have some money to spend, they won't have much. So the economic increase that Tony Blair predicted, or the economic prosperity that Tony Blair and his gormless gang predicted would happen when we swelled the country and had all these millions of new people in there, it is infinitesimal. I mean, if you put another million people in this country, as we do year after year, by the way, folks, these are legal. These are legal immigrants. These aren't people coming across the channel. You will, by the economy will slightly improve, really infinitesimally. The idea, though, that this is the sort of golden paved route to fabulous economic triumph is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And yet there are still idiots in Parliament and around the country who think unbridled immigration is a great and good thing.
I think, unfortunately, the tenor was set, the tone of this conversation was set in that Blair era, and they had advisors kind of behind the scenes that effectively just liked immigration for immigration's sake. They wanted to rub the right's nose in diversity, but they kind of dressed it up in this, well, it's for your own good, don't worry, it might feel uncomfortable as you see your town and your city transform beyond recognition, but it's for your own good because the economic payoffs are well worth it. Well, in the last couple of years, only about 20% of those that have actually come into the country have come in to work. You talk about doctors. Last year alone, we saw only 1% of those that came into the UK actually came in as a doctor. The rest of them are kind of, you know, dependents. There might be a few sort of CEOs and people like that. But this idea that everyone's kind of coming in and they've all sort of cracked, you know, the Enigma code and they're all brainiacs just waiting to go.
Stethoscopes around there, ready to get to work in the latest.
But that's the image they present.
Hospital. Yeah, engineers and doctors. Yeah, right. Drug dealers mostly. Well, there is a sort of medical element to a lot of these migrants. They get involved in the narcotics trade, the illegal narcotics trade. Let's switch to that was a story about legal migration. 1 million a year. That's what we've been letting in. 1 million a year. Obviously, hundreds of thousands leave, but we're riding at around about 500,600,000 increase every year. It's insanity, folks. It's insanity. So is the illegal migrant crisis. So this armada of migrants have been pouring across the channel since last Wednesday. I'll read out the numbers, right? So last Wednesday, 132. Thursday, 225. Friday, 68. We come to the weekend, 26. 122. Sunday, 27th, 96. Quite a low day there. 28th, 212. 29th, 149. So that's 2 days ago. And yesterday, There was a big fear, Robert, for a while that an astonishing 900 migrants would cross the channel illegally, had done. But those figures were disgracefully exaggerated by the right-wing press. It was actually 898. So that is 1,769 in a year. They're going to cost us 71 million quid. Sorry, in a week. Just over a week. They're going to cost us 71 million quid in the next over the next year alone. Each one of these illegal migrants who we embrace with open arms and put them in 4-star hotels, give them free food, free doctors, free lawyers, free dentists, free everything they like, free phones. Each one of them costs us £40,000 a year. This is madness. How is Keir Starmer's smash the gangs strategy going?
Well, from his perspective, it's probably going quite well, because I honestly think he's handled this situation so poorly. You have to judge situations almost by their outcome, and I'm not being conspiratorial and suggesting that. Obviously, I think he really means it when he says he wants to smash the gangs, and he's got a real conviction, a kind of liberal-orientated conviction in smashing the gangs. You talk about the cost of these individuals. Of course, that's just in terms of the keeping them in the country. That's before we even get into the the crime that we know that a disproportionate number of them are likely to be committing, and the implications that has for the community, the kind of freezing effect, people feeling scared to walk to the streets or go out late at night. We also then need to consider the way councils have got so caught up on this idea of needing to integrate these illegal immigrants into the country and to give them opportunities and to help them, feel a part of the country, that we're actually seeing councils lining up with charities, signing up with charities, encouraging people to give bikes, mobile phones, technology, laptops, computers, the whole works to these individuals. And effectively, what we are seeing when it comes to what's emerging under the Labour Party is a two-tier administrative system, really. We have fast-track GP surgeries for those that have come here illegally. Brits have to wait and get up at 8 o'clock to try and call a GP and desperately try and get that appointment. We have these, we saw it the other week, we have Wandsworth Council offering half price, bike rentals. The whole situation has got so out of hand because I think, unfortunately, what we've got is a political class in Whitehall and too many sort of civil servants in councils as well who are completely captured by the idea that these people are actually kind of victims of some sort. These aren't just sort of economic migrants looking to make a quick buck and take advantage of what's frankly our overly generous hospitality and our ridiculous system. That's
one way. I don't know if you saw our exclusive to this programme actually earlier in the week. We got footage of what life was like behind the closed doors of the Copthorne Hotel, the 16th century manor hotel with 4 poster beds, a koi carp pond, an adjacent golf course, manicured gardens, 4-star it was, bars, restaurants. They got closed down, of course. 600 migrants. They don't pay for anything. We give them 4 meals a day. They get a special afternoon snack delivered to their room in the afternoon, apart from breakfast, lunch and dinner. There's a constant convoy of delivery trucks with food, toiletries, necessities. The police are always there because there's all sorts of problems. Social workers, all the kids, they have kids there. 10 women have had babies on the premises. The kids who go to school, free taxis pick them. Well, I say free, we're paying for them. The taxpayers. Taxis pick the kids up in the morning, take them to school, pick them up afterwards, take them back to the hotel. We pay for their entire lives. Half of them, by the way, the blokes, because they're mostly blokes, are working illegally anyway. The entire system is mad. And by the way, we've got to go to break, Robert, but Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron swap a foreigner scheme. You have one of migrant, we'll have one of yours. Never made much sense to me. Anything happening on that front? Or, as I predicted, have there been no swaps, and will there ever be any swaps? Now, that scheme, folks, the swap a migrant scheme, will never happen.
Well, hopefully it doesn't, because it's an absolutely terrifying scheme that would effectively lumber the British taxpayer with long-term obligations to those that have been deemed to be legitimate asylum seekers. In most cases, if they were illegal immigrants, so they've just been able to game the system. So hopefully, we've not heard much from it. Hopefully it is because it's been sort of vetoed behind the scenes in the European Commission, and other European countries getting quite annoyed about what it would have effectively meant.
Yeah, OK. Listen, give us a call. Let us know what you think about this. 700,000 more people in this country. They're coming in 500,000-600,000 every single year. Meanwhile, we're on course for... by the way, these figures, these illegal migrants coming across in small boats, illegally, That's the number doing so. 47% up on this time last year. Almost half as many. Unbelievable. What do you think about all this? It's out of control. We have a government that isn't doing anything about it at all. 03444991000. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Online Safety Act, which all that Labour lot, all those twonks, Peter Kyle and everything, I say, well, it's just about protecting babies. It's about protecting children from the dangerous, pornographic and violent horrors that lurk on the internet. Is it hell? Is it hell? It's about stopping you getting information that you have every right to know about. That the Labour government doesn't want you to know about, like watching footage of asylum seeker hotel protest. They closed that down. When we come back, I'll tell you about something they've closed down that you just won't believe. That next, stay tuned.
Prime Minister Starmer's decision is so incredibly counterproductive to the very goals that he himself has said is guiding his foreign policy. You know, he's declaring one thing but doing the exact opposite. He's sending a clear message to Hamas that don't agree to a ceasefire, don't agree to the end of the war, don't release the hostages, and if you do all that, you'll get a reward from the UK. And that is so counterproductive, especially because as the members of the House of Lords pointed out, the idea of a Palestinian state is a fiction.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Now, welcome back. You will have seen, of course, quite a row the other day. Peter Kyle, he is the government's Science and Technology Secretary. He went on to Sky News and accused Nigel Farage of being Jimmy Savile's friend, siding with Jimmy Savile, siding with pornographers, because Nigel Farage, like many of us, has serious concerns about the Online Safety Act. Labour, the government says, oh, it's just about protecting children from the horrors that lurk on the internet, you know, pornography, violent content, adult content. It may go some way towards doing that, although I think that's pretty dubious. It's easily got round, put it that way. But that isn't the point. When they say it's just to protect children, that's a lie. It's a lie. It isn't just to protect children. It's to protect them. It's to protect them from the kind of stories and information they don't want circulating. So at the weekend, people who tried to look at footage of the asylum seeker hotel protest in Leeds were blocked with a message telling them that due to local laws, you couldn't watch this. So they don't want us to be talking about these protests. So they're shutting down the information. Well, today, this sinister syndrome, I mean, this is comical, but it's also extremely perturbing. It is this. Guido Fawkes, the sort of parliamentary website, rather scurrilous, fun gossip columns, does a lot of great stories, actually. It's good. They posted a story because today the list of Britain's most popular names came out. And as always, by the way, the top name these days was Mohammed. But Guido sort of did a funny little story, or tried to do a funny little story, saying that one thing that has emerged from this new list is that over the last year, no one has called their kid Keir. Now, people who tried to read this story were blocked. They're actually blocked for the same reason that they were blocked from watching the asylum seeker protest in Leeds. They were greeted, Robert, by this message. So you're trying to read a story, a funny little story, ha ha ha. You can see how unpopular the Prime Minister is. No one has named their kids after him in the last year, in the whole of the last year. So clearly... Anyway, people who tried to read this story were greeted with this. Due to local laws, we are temporarily restricting this content. That's
Unbelievable.
it. So you can't... in other words, what they've obviously done, the government, they fed in an algorithm which blocks stories that could be seen as disparaging towards the government. This is Orwellian.
It's incredibly sinister, and I think the thing that really sort of strikes at those parallels with tyrannical regimes throughout history is the way they are trying to hide this pernicious the pernicious outcomes of this act behind really sort of lovey-dovey and noble-sounding language. This idea that, you know, if you want the act scrapped, you're somehow in favour of paedophilia or you're on the same side as Jimmy Savile. That's a sort of trope that you see throughout history when these totalitarians...
To demonise your enemies.
Effectively, yeah, it makes it untouchable. I mean, who really wants to be on the side of Jimmy Savile, for crying out loud? And I think it's an incredibly worrying instance. I mean, obviously, this story was a bit of a fun one, a bit of a joke. I think, really, this is something that if a society is not able to poke fun at their Prime Minister on humorous little things like this, harmless little things like this, it's the thin end of a wedge. And I think we start heading towards a place where serious criticisms as well start getting subsumed. And I think what we're seeing over the last couple of weeks is really the beginning of a journey that we're all going to have to go on over the next couple of years as this act becomes ever pervasive in every walk of life.
Really is.
Starts to monitor communication. And let's not forget that social media at the moment is playing an incredibly important role in holding Labour politicians to account. We don't have any real opposition in Parliament. It's the ability of individuals to mobilise using social media primarily to communicate that is effectively allowing some semblance of accountability to take place. And I think if we start having fly spot in the ointment and the system and the natural kind of discourse being frustrated by acts such as this, then I think we're heading to a really worrying place. It just strikes of witless politicians that have effectively not understood the real world, introduced some legislation because they want to protect children, and then not really been prepared to address the consequences of their actions.
In fairness, it was the Tories who launched the online safety bill, but Labour have embraced it and put it into overdrive. Clearly into Twitter and probably Facebook and the other social media sites. This Online Safety Act has fed some kind of algorithm contained in which is a trigger to stop stories that the government doesn't like. So I know why they were not allowed to watch the asylum seeker hotel protest. That was due to violent content. You know, that's not violent content. That's freedom. That's free information that you should be able to view. Now, what's happened with this Keir story? It's obviously something to do with children, or inappropriate information about babies or something like that. I mean, it's gone wrong here, but it's obviously quite far-reaching. The censorship involved on the social media sites promoted by the Online Safety Act is clearly extensive. This is sinister. This is Orwellian.
Well, it's an incredibly lazily sort of worded and constructed piece of legislation. I think, a lot of us were kind of complaining about this at the time. Unfortunately, the Conservatives, when they effectively became the Labour Party for the last couple of years of their governance, just completely didn't heed any of that and were insistent that this was the way forward. I think, unfortunately, we are at the point now where this is so entrenched on the statute book, and Labour have expended a lot of political capital in recent days, well, with the Peter Kyle instance being primarily amongst them, that I really don't see how legislative change comes about for the next couple of years. And that's really worrying, because the next general election is going to be one of the most important in modern British political history. And if we can't have discourse, if people can't thoroughly know what is going on in their country, then we are going to effectively have an electorate having to go to the polls without really realising how bad this Labour government have been. And it's some of the things that are being censored. It's not just the protests that we've seen outside the migrant hotels. It's things such as Rupert Lowe's rape gang inquiry that have been,
you've experienced it.
Yeah, publicising sort of quite harrowing testimonies from brave individuals that have come forward, and some of the experiences they went through and who they think was accountable, where they think they were let down, and that's been completely kind of knocked off people's feeds. It's come up with that ominous message as well, and this is something that people need to know about. This is a scandal that's gone on for 20, 30 years, if not longer. People have always been brushing it under the carpet, and now we unfortunately have X, one of the largest social media platforms in the world, partaking in that as well. And I think there's an element of overly cautious interpretation of the legislation by Elon Musk and X. I think this is really an unintended consequence that does happen with legislation. You kind of have that freezing effect of people not wanting to even brush up against it.
To an extent, but I think this is exactly what Labour want. I think
it helps them, absolutely.
And by the way, Peter Kyle, the Science and Technology Secretary, went on to Sky News and made that outrageous suggestion, absolute outrageous lie that Nigel Farage, in voicing his concerns about the Online Safety Act, which millions of Brits have got. I have, you have. Anybody who's interested in freedom of speech should be extremely worried about the Online Safety Act. But when Peter Kyle accused Nigel Farage of siding with Jimmy Savile, we thought, oh my God, he's gone too far, and Nigel Farage demanded an apology. I wish he'd sue him, actually, but I think he's too dignified to do that. We later found out that the Jimmy Savile attack line was approved by Downing Street, number 10 Downing Street, and in fact they had war-gamed it and decided that was the way to deal with it. So in other words, this government is going, anyone who says this Act, Online Safety Act, we all want to protect kids from some of the awful things that lurk on the internet, online, but this act goes a lot further than that. So when you hear these liars from Starmer's cabinet saying, oh, it's just to protect children, they are doing that. They are lying to you. This is a sinister crackdown on free speech. It really, really is. And these people, Keir and his gang, his gormless cabinet crew, these people are extreme socialists. They're kind of commies. And socialists don't like freedom of speech. They don't like populations saying just exactly what they want. So here we are, folks. It's 1984, if you see what I mean. Let me know what you think. But I think this is, it's funny that we were banned from reading a funny little story about nobody calling their kid Keir. But when you think about it, it's the opposite of funny. It's seriously frightening. 03444991000. When we come back, we will discuss the notion that when you go woke, you go broke. Jaguar just found that out. And their boss has quit. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. If you go woke, you go broke. First rule of business, but so many businesses, so many corporations just don't seem to understand that, or they refuse to take note of one of the facts of commercial life. You remember, I'm sure you will, back in November, a Jaguar, you know, that sort of symbol of traditional British cars, classic cars, you know, it's pure British, isn't it, Jaguar? Fantastic cars, some of the great cars. I think the E-Type Jag was the 1960s, one of the most beautiful cars that have ever been made. Jaguar is always about style, class, power, Britishness. Remember the fabulous Jaguar, what do you call those things on the hood? I'm not very good at cars.
Oh, I do just fancy little model things stuck on the bonnet.
Back in November, the super brains at Jaguar decided that was all old-fashioned, you know, and you know, the sort of middle-aged men who bought their cars, well, we don't really want them, and we need modern, groovy people. So they jettisoned the traditional image of Jaguar and assailed potential customers with this. There we are. Creative, exuberant. This is supposed to advertise Jaguars, right? Look at this. What is that about? We're just looking at it. So there's kind of weird people with weird haircuts, wearing weird clothes, all sitting around. There's no cars in this advert, which seems, it says copy nothing, Jaguar. Have we got some pictures also of the cars that they came up with? They were these sort of concept cars. There they are. There. So this is what they were promising us the Jaguars of the future would look like. So that was November, and people like me, lots of people in the media, we have great fun with that and say, oh, you're making the same mistake as Bud Light Beer did in America when they decided to rebrand with a trans woman, a bloke in a dress. What was his name? Dylan Mulvaney. A bloke in a dress. So they just said, oh, look. Anyway, sales plummeted to such an extent that they had to get rid of the marketing manager who came up with this idea, and they had to come up with a new commercial full of good old boys drinking on a veranda in the south in order to save the company. A big company called Anheuser-Busch, one of the most successful companies in the States, almost went bust because of it. Now Jaguar have gone down the same route, and guess what? Sales of Jaguar since that mad advert and those horrible looking cars have gone down by 97.5%, and today we learned that the chief executive of the country, Adrian Mardell, has quit. There you go, same old story.
Good riddance. He clearly didn't know what the heck he was doing. He's kind of from an outdated C-suite model that probably had its time 2 to 3 years ago for a brief period whilst there was kind of that post-COVID craziness with the BLM and the kind of inclusivity lobby. I mean, I must confess, I'd never seen that advert before. I thought I was having a fever dream right here, right then. Yeah. What the heck was that? I mean, the whole point
no car in it, just weirdos.
The whole point of Jaguar is it's meant to be an aspirational brand. It's meant to be something that you strive hard to work towards, and you kind of see individuals turning up in those cars and you think, yes, this is an individual that is kind of made it. This is something to strive towards. What they're trying to do, and I think unfortunately too many brands are trying to do this, is they're trying to be everything to everyone, and they want to kind of throw their arms open to the world. I think Bud Light is probably the prime example of the go woke, go broke. I mean, I've not had a Bud Light since that whole thing broke out.
I think you're okay now. They've rediscovered their sort of honesty.
But it's so ingrained in me now. Once I boycott something, I've not had Walker's Chris since Gary Lineker started doing his Remainer stuff as well. So it's kept.
We're just looking. By the way, if you're watching on TV, we're just looking at Dylan Mulvaney rebranding Bud Light disastrously. The woman behind this super plan, she had to quit. The company nearly went bust. Anyway, this guy, he is the chief executive of Jaguar Land Rover. His name's Adrian Mardell. He has been there 3 decades. he's worked at this company. Now, he's stepping down, they say, because it's just time for him to do it. It says here, quote from the company, Adrian Mardell has expressed his desire to retire from Jaguar Land Rover after 3 years as chief executive. So he was there best part of 30 years, but 3 years at the top, in the top job. The spokesman added that a successor will be announced in due course. Now, that successor, their job will be to annihilate and evaporate everything in that rebrand and go back to basics and see if they can recapture the magic of Jaguar, which they ludicrously, ridiculously and stupidly destroyed.
I mean, getting rid of that logo is one of those most iconic. It's the Reebok tick, it's the Reebok, it's one of those brands, it's the Coca-Cola logo. It's up there with one of the most iconic brands that if you put in front of someone, they would be able to identify what it is. The new logo looked like something, a kind of Love Island graphic or something like that. It was absolutely ridiculous. I think, unfortunately, what seems to have happened to this chap is he spent too much time in those kind of morning meetings with the croissants and the lattes and got kind of caught up in this idea of inclusivity and progression and changing things, and it really ended up treating the company as his own ideological plaything. And I think that's when things start to go wrong. That's the reason why when you go woke, you do go broke, because you end up drifting slowly but surely away from your client base, your loyal consumers, who start to look at what you're doing and thinking, hang on, this isn't what I signed up for when I began purchasing your products. I mean, his basically his legacy is transitioning Jaguar into a kind of electric fleet, which they will start selling from next year as well. And, you know, this is something that I've never met anyone that's sort of clamouring for an electric car and excited by the idea of an electric car because it's an electric car. People want cars because they look good, they make them feel cool, and they go from A to B. I mean, this idea of kind of basing your whole identity and your whole brand's identity around this transition to net zero, who does that actually appeal to? A very tiny sect. And I can't imagine Greta Thunberg's getting out the checkbook to buy a Jaguar either. So, you know, he's made a few mistakes along his way.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
She'd probably go for one of these new ones, you know.
Yeah, well, I think she was in the advert as well.
But looked like a bunch of Greta Thunbergs, didn't it? The old doom goblin there. She'd love all that. I mean, to be fair to Adrian Mardell, I would say I'm sure this wasn't wasn't his brainchild, and he's just gone along with it. He's been, I would imagine, being persuaded that this is the way forward, this is modern, this is woke, this is politically correct, this is in tune with the times. You've got the zeitgeist here, absolute claptrap. Now, the kind of people who buy Jaguars tend to be blokes, they tend to be of a certain age and of a certain wealth. I mean, the Jaguar is a status symbol. They just drove a truck through that. I mean, why would you do that? Go woke, folks, and you go broke. Why do businesses keep doing this? It's bizarre.
I think from his perspective, what's probably happened is he's gone in. He's a kind of slightly older chap. He's a white straight male, you know, and he's gone in and he's been confronted with this kind of army of marketing managers that are kind of just out of a university, haven't been indoctrinated with all these ideas about how the world should be orientated. And he's been so self-conscious about him kind of being a dinosaur and not wanting to come across as not down with the kids and hip, that he's kind of allowed himself to get caught up with this rebrand, which is one of the most catastrophic decisions that I think he's...
Well, it's the worst rebrand since Bud Light.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, if you showed someone that logo, the new invented logo, and asked, you know, is this what you think of when you associate, when you think of Jaguar cars? No one would have a clue that that was even the logo. Jaguar is the little logo, the little... Is it a Puma? The little...
No, it's a Jaguar.
Oh, of course it is.
No, it's not.
You've got me. The little Jaguar,
Yeah, sort of
everyone
roaring
recognises it. Yeah, everyone knows that anywhere around the world.
Iconic. That's what it is. Unbelievable, unbelievable, folks. Let me know what you think. Do you agree that when you go woke, you go broke? You don't have to agree with it. It's a fact. Ask the guys at Jaguar. Now, when we come back, we're going to go to break now. When we come back, we'll talk about the ongoing asylum seeker protests that, incredibly, our Prime Minister, our dear leader, our supreme leader, you know, down at the Ministry of Truth, old Keir Starmer, has yet to say a damn word about. It's unbelievable. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
What an embarrassment for the air traffic control services, and what a huge inconvenience. Even though this has only lasted a matter of minutes, nonetheless the effects, I would imagine, will be felt right across the day and presumably into tomorrow as well.
Very much so. My own sister is sat in a plane in Croatia at the moment, unable to take off because of this. You've got to understand this is the busiest time of year. You've got hundreds and hundreds of flights affected across both Gatwick and Heathrow.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, still with Robert Bates from the Centre for Migration Control. In a little later in the show, I'm going to be talking to a former security guard who worked at a number of asylum seeker hotels, and he's going to tell us about some of the horrors that he witnessed while he was doing that job. He said they used to be quite disciplined, but they turned into chaos, because they used to have these guards guarded by former military men, and so they used to run them, you know, with a rod of iron, and the migrants did what they were told, and then the military men were replaced by people from the hospitality industry. And he says that since then, after that, everything fell apart at the seams. But just throwing more light on the fact that the asylum seeker, we talk about the migrant crisis, and of course that's quite right to do that, but I think what we're talking about now, the preeminent problem in this country, is the asylum seeker hotel crisis. More and more communities rising up in furies, just saying, you know, we won't take this. Waterlooville, a little town in Hampshire near Portsmouth, massive demonstration yesterday, because they're putting only 35 migrants into brand new £250,000 flats that overlook the rather run-down high street. Now, these were up for sale. You can only assume the government's bought them, and they're putting 35 migrants in there, and the local community, it's quite a small town, they said, well, you know, we didn't vote for this, we didn't ask for this, and they're furious, and it got quite heated. Now, this is happening everywhere, and, you know, nobody... the Prime Minister has yet to say anything, so
silent.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, he's burying his head in the sand on this issue. I think over the last two or so weeks, we have seen really the kind of the righteous indignation that a lot of the ordinary people of this country, the people that get up in the morning and make this country.
Yeah, by the way, somebody described them as some politician on the make a couple of weeks ago. It might have even been Farage or someone. I think it was. He's not so much on the make, he's kind of made it, hasn't he? He started talking in terms of the alarm clock class.
Yes, and I like that. I thought it was good.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I mean, it's quite snappy, but I was thinking, do you mean what we used to call, like, everyone who went to work?
I know, but it's a unique thing now. It's a unicorn once you see really someone who actually sort of gets up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go and put it in the graft.
Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, well, I just think, you know, basically the Conservative decision when this small boats crisis first kicked off to not properly invest in detention facilities for those that are coming into the country illegally, and to instead stop buying up these or renting out these hotels on a huge scale is something that I genuinely believe in a couple of years' time we will have to have an inquiry into, not just because of the costs. We know that by the end of this decade it will have cost us 15 billion just to rent out these hotel rooms, but because of the sheer risk that it poses to the British population. We know from just a small sample of hotels around the country, about 100 or so, which is just a fraction of the number that there actually are. In the first 6 months of this year, there have been 339 charges laid against individuals registered in these hotels. These are individuals from countries where we know that there are a disproportionate proclivity towards sexual violence, and drug dealing, and yet the government and politicians have had no qualms in scattering these individuals around countries. around communities with, as you say, very limited security. I mean, most security guards now at these hotels effectively seem to be best mates with the residents. They're sort of lighting up their fags and kind of having a bit of a
they go the story that we did earlier in the week, the Copthorne Hotel, the staff and the residents, they call them service users, by the way, the migrants, whatever that means. I mean, it's the comprehensive service that we supply them with. But the staff and the service users, the migrants, they all worship together in the mosque. And the mosque is the former conference room at the hotel that they've converted now. I mean, I said the other night temporary mosque, but it's kind of permanent now. But they all pray together, so you're right.
Well, that's interesting. That doesn't surprise me too much. I think there's not enough distance between those that are meant to be sort of keeping these individuals in check, because they are undocumented individuals about whom we know nothing. They are, by the very nature of us not knowing about them, a potential risk to the women, children, and frankly the men as well in those areas that they're being put up to. And I think when you look at the contracts that the government's given out to the accommodation providers, the staff providers, and sort of the charities that help with this situation as well, that's another few £100 million. And it is all geared towards making sure that these individuals that have broken into our country are having the best possible time whilst staying at our expense. They have access to a 24-hour hotline to complain about the food, the service, the kind of, you know, whether the corridors are being kept
it's
clean
not good
enough.
enough for them. That's
Well, and they really are the very definition of their service users now. They are treated sort of as if they're paying customers of a hotel, and that we have to make sure that they give us a good Google review at the end of their stay. It's an absolutely ridiculous situation.
Yes, it is. And let's talk a bit about our weirdo Prime Minister, because we were just looking at pictures of the as I say, rather heated protest in Waterlooville. But, you know, over the past couple of weeks, of course, Epping keeps cropping up, the Bell Hotel. The protests there continue apace. We've seen quite a few there. But we've also seen protests, you know, quite well-attended protests in Portsmouth, Lee Anderson's constituency in Ashfield, that's in Nottinghamshire. Obviously across the south coast we've seen them in Southampton, Bournemouth, as I say, Portsmouth, Leeds, Altrincham up in the north, there's a big one going out. So more and more of these are happening, and they are quite a thing. And meanwhile, the Prime Minister calls an emergency meeting this week about Palestine. And the Prime Minister, this is a very major outburst of unrest in this country. Shades of last year, protest about the migrant crisis, and our Prime Minister has yet to say a single bloody word on it. It's extraordinary.
It really is, and it just shows how out of touch he is. I mean, the decision to sort of devote so much political capital to his recent Palestine move, I think, really shows who is kind of controlling this Prime Minister. And it's not ordinary folks around the country, it's his kind of backbenchers that have got really esoteric and frankly irrelevant concerns about what's going on in the Middle East, and the fact that he's well aware that a lot of his majority hinges on a certain community voting for him at the next election. I think unfortunately what we're seeing...
You mean the Muslim community?
The Muslim community are increasingly, the Labour Party is increasingly reliant on this community to keep its majority, to keep many seats across the north and the Midlands, and indeed in London as well, keep them red. So I think this is really sort of politicking at the expense of the national interest.
Yeah, and the Cabinet getting together to discuss recognising the state of Palestine, which, by the way, hilariously looks as if it might be against international law. You can't really recognise a pile of rubble with no discernible government and no discernible borders. You can't do that. So it looks as if they might not be able to. But the government getting together for an emergency meeting, while there's a clear emergency about Palestine, about a crisis in a country thousands of miles away, while there's clearly a crisis going on here, and them not even mentioning this, it's frightening and disgraceful.
It's really insulting to the country. I think it's effectively politicians that have their own ideologies, their own crusades, and are just using their position in our country's governance structures to elevate their own pet interests, their own hobbies that are completely irrelevant to this country. Most people, if you polled them, would not care one jot about what's going on in the Middle East when you compare it to the sheer transformation that's going on.
They're slightly concerned about what's going on, but nothing more than that. They're much more interested in whether or not they've got hundreds of unknown foreigners of sexually active age, young men, in their community. And by the way, a lot of these problems that are erupting all over the country are in areas where asylum seekers have either been charged with, accused of, or convicted of sex crimes.
Exactly. It's a huge threat that people just, the politicians just seem to be burying their head in the sand about. I mean, Keir Starmer should have, when that Sun Telegraph piece came out and showed the sheer scale of it, he should have made an address to the public.
Yeah. Robert, we've got to go. Thank you for a brilliant hour. Dame Andrea Jenkins is next, so stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the second hour of tonight's Political Asylum, and in about half an hour we're going to be joined by a guy who used to be a security guard at several asylum seeker hotels. Now, you will have seen, regular viewers and listeners to the show will have seen our extraordinary exclusive, courtesy of Isabel Oakshott, on Monday, where we revealed what was going on at the Copthorne Hotel. 600 migrants living there, asylum seekers. Copthorne, 16th century hotel, 4-poster beds, free meals, everything. We're doing so much for those people, you won't believe it. So now we're going to get more stories of what goes on behind closed migrant doors, if you like. Because one of the more sinister aspects of the asylum seeker hotel crisis, because it is that, it's escalating, people are sick to death of it, they're really angry about it, is this. You have a nice little town like Epping, with a nice little hotel in the middle of it called the Bell Hotel. All of a sudden, they wake up one morning, the hotel is no longer open to them, to get local residents to have a drink, or for people to come and stay because it's really near lovely Epping Forest and all that. It's no longer open to them. Suddenly they wake up and one morning it's surrounded by steel barriers, it's got security blockades, it's got guards standing there, and all the windows have been blacked out. That's what they do. with asylum seeker hotels. We are not allowed to even look at them. We're not allowed to know what goes on in the middle. Well, we're finding out, but if the authorities had their way, we would just be paying for these places and not allowed to know anything about them. That's what's sinister about all of this. But when we talk to our friend in half an hour or so, we'll find out more about what goes on behind the closed doors of our asylum seeker hotels. So that in half an hour. But in the meantime, for the next 30 minutes, fasten your seatbelts. It's one of our favourite guests. We are joined by the great Dame Andrea Jenkins, Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, Reform UK Mayor, of course. Welcome, Andrea.
Hi, good to see you, Kevin.
Always a pleasure. Well, look, can I get your thoughts, first of all, on... we've got to be slightly careful, you'll understand legally, but
Yeah.
I want to talk about the conviction yesterday of the cowardly thug, Mohammed Fahir Ahmaz, who was found guilty. He denied the charges, but he was found guilty of beating the hell out of two female police officers, breaking one of their nose. You will have seen the video, very distressing, blood all over her face. Poor woman. Also, he was found guilty of head-butting a passenger at Manchester Airport who he says had racially abused his mother. So he's 20 years old and he's facing sentencing. We should mention that both him and his older brother, a guy called Mohammed Ahmed, he's 25, are facing a retrial because both of them were also charged with beating up a male copper called PC Zachary Marsden. And the jury couldn't reach a verdict on that, so there will be a retrial. But in terms of Mohammed Fahir Ahmaz, he is guilty of a disgusting, cowardly attack on two women. I hope he's proud of himself. Now, he hasn't been sentenced yet, but I'm wondering, Andrea, when he does get sentenced, will he get a longer sentence than Lucy Connolly, or a shorter sentence? Lucy Connolly, of course, doing 2 years and 7 months for writing hurty words on Facebook during the Southport riots last year. If he gets a shorter sentence than Lucy Connolly, I think there'll be hell to pay, and there should be hell to pay, don't you think?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, we can't obviously prejudge it, but yeah, he deserves to go down in my books, and he deserves to go down for a long time. And I understand he didn't appear to have any remorse or apologise, etc. And look at how the left made out it was a racist attack against him himself, and it was very hard to get the footage out there, wasn't it, of the truth, what actually happened. And yeah, there'll be anger on the streets, no doubt about it, if Lucy Connolly had a stronger sentence than him.
What kind of a man does that? We've seen the video.
A coward in my books.
We've seen the video. He's raining punches down.
Someone unhinged,
on two women. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. What kind of a man does that?
As I said, someone unhinged, Kev, who doesn't belong on our streets. I mean, if you can do this in the public, what does he do behind closed doors? That's what I say.
Yes, well, exactly right. And we have to be careful with the other side of this story. But of course, PC Zachary Marsden was the copper. As I say, bear with me and join me in our legally careful journey here. But PC Zachary Marsden was the copper who was filmed kicking one of the brothers. It's actually the one who's been found guilty, Fahir Ahmaz. It looks as when we first saw the video, it didn't look great.
No.
And then we saw a different angle of the video, and we understood why it was that PC Zachary Marsden may have thought, I need to control this situation with whatever methods available to me, and he used extreme force.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Now, if this is happening in America, Mohammed Fahir Ahmaz and probably his brother would be dead. They would be shot dead. So they're very lucky this happened in Britain, in a nice gentle Britain. But after that, we had a succession of senior Labour politicians, including the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, and the Leader of the House, Lucy Powell, just denouncing these...
Well, there was attacking Richard Tice, wasn't there, in Reform, for defending the police lady.
Yes. So
no apologies from them either.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that's not good enough, isn't it? As Robert Jenrick said, you know, the police have a right to expect the backing of the government.
Yes. Look, I mean, obviously we can't preempt things, but what it looks like from the outside, it looks like self-defense. It looks like they is sticking up for the police lady and trying to control the situation. And when you've got a maniac like that who's hitting a female officer like that, it's somebody unhinged. He needs to go down in my books for a long time. And the Labour politicians, they need to start apologising.
Yeah, I wish they would. Now,
but they never apologise, do they? Because, you know, they don't feel that they've done anything wrong.
Because PC Zachary Marsden, who was filmed, you know, booting Fahir Maz in the head, I think we later learned to suppress him because this was a situation that had spiralled into extreme violence. It was spiralling out of control. Yeah. He had to wait 150 days before the Crown prosecution finally said he wouldn't face sentencing. And I do believe...
But just look at that Labour councillor inciting violence. Look how long we've been waiting with him, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, so what is going on here then, Andrea? Why are our Labour politicians like this?
Again, it's two-tier justice, isn't it? They see anybody who thinks this is abhorrent as far right. And look, let's face it, if it was, you know, if it was a white person, I believe, doing this, you know, Labour would be condemning them, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Defending the police. And unfortunately, I think we've got like that as a society. You know, it's evident to me. And to me, I don't care what ethnicity somebody is. Everybody should be equal under the rule of law.
It just struck me after we saw that video, before we saw subsequent video that put things into perspective. This is typical of these socialist politicians. They can't wait to condemn the police violence, police brutality. They're always sticking up for the alleged victims and never backing the police, and that's why I think everybody's quite annoyed.
And you don't forget, it's hard for them in the way that look how they kneeled for what happened in the US. So you know, you can see where their priorities are.
Yeah, exactly right. Can I get your thoughts before we go to break? Got a while yet, but I've just been discussing this with Robert Bates. I've discussed it with quite a few guests. The fact that we've been seeing these asylum seeker hotel protests unfolding all over the country with increasing regularity and with increasing intensity. By and large, thank God, they've all been pretty peaceful. In fact, I would like to see lots and lots of peaceful protests outside these hotels, so that perhaps the government could
join some myself. You know,
exactly.
If there's some in Lincolnshire, I'll join some myself, some peaceful ones. Of course I would.
Exactly. Now, when I heard last weekend, I'm sure you probably reached the same conclusion, that Keir Starmer had called an emergency meeting of the cabinet, called the cabinet ministers back from their various holidays. I think a couple of them had to come back from abroad. For emergency meeting. I assumed it would be to discuss this rising tide of unrest sweeping across the country about the migrant crisis.
Oh yeah, and all the levels of illegal migration.
Yeah,
about the people coming on boats. That's.
And what was this emergency meeting about? Palestine.
Oh yes.
So this guy. I mean, my question to you, Andrew, is why is Keir Starmer not listening to what the people are saying. This is a deep-seated concern of millions of worried Brits about the migrant crisis, about the asylum seeker hotel crisis, the unknown young men, hundreds of them being foisted on unsuspecting communities. And he actually calls an emergency meeting about a crisis in a country thousands of miles away. Why won't he listen to the people? Why he hasn't said a damn word about this yet? What's wrong with him?
Let's face it, they realise that the British public are having enough of him, so is actually sticking up for the Muslim vote, the pro-Palestine vote, because that's probably only who's left to vote for him, Kevin. I've got no doubt about that, to be honest. Yeah. And also, look, I mean, it's the international stuff as well. I mean, why is he making these comments? You know, for decades, it's been saying about recognizing, you know, coming to a situation where you recognize both. But to then come out and really, I mean, has he consulted on this for such a strong statement about Palestine and recognising it for its statehood? You know, I want to know if he's consulted on this.
My feeling about it, for
internationally as well.
Yeah, my feeling about it, for what it's worth, is you know, you're quite right. He's cravenly pursuing the domestic Muslim vote. He's very worried about Jeremy Corbyn's new party, Jezbollah, as it's been nicknamed, which may well take a lot of the Muslim vote away from Labour. That's what this is.
Well, they're losing the working class, British white working class votes to Reform, aren't they?
Well, exactly right. And all that he's
Labour doesn't stand up for, you know,
he's alienating
British people anymore, do they?
No, he's not. He's alienating. He's alienating America and Donald Trump, and he's destroying what little was left of our long alliance with Israel. I mean, we're one of Israel's oldest allies. We helped to create that country, and he's decided to side with Hamas.
But the awful thing, go on.
I was just going to say he's decided to reward October the 7th.
I was going to say exactly the same thing, Kev, completely, because, and they still haven't released those hostages, so how dare he say that, Kev? How dare he come to this conclusion and this threat when they're still holding these innocent hostages who saw some abhorrent things, didn't they? Young people murdered, you know, pregnant women, of the stuff that they had to endure and be murdered. It's horrific. So how can he side with terrorists?
And the other
Let's face it, it's something Jeremy Corbyn would do, isn't it?
Yeah, and the other aspect of this, Andrew, is clear. He is the tail is now wagging the dog in the Labour Party. This recognising the state of Palestine, which, by the way, may be against international law. That would be funny. I mean, you can't. What's the point of recognising a pile of rubble, which is what Palestine is now? But this is the tail wagging the dog, because this is what all of his left-wing backbench MPs wanted to do. So he's appeasing them, and he's cravenly chasing the Muslim vote. It's dirty, low-down domestic politics. It's nothing to do, you know, with morally worrying about the fate of children over there. It's nonsense, isn't it?
Completely. And it shows how out of touch he is, because we should be talking about, if he's calling a meeting, talk about the migrant crisis, talk about how people don't feel safe on their streets in Britain. That's what he should be talking about.
Yeah, that's what we thought that the crisis meeting, the urgent crisis cabinet meeting would be about. Instead, the urgent crisis cabinet meeting was about a country.
I mean, what is it, 750,000 people this year that's come across or something?
700,000. The latest figures reveal it's up until June 24 that the population that year swelled by 700,000, beaten only by the previous year, which was about 860,000. And that's still happening. That is crazy. And did you see, by the way...
That's sustainable, isn't it?
Yeah, that's legal migration. Did you see that 898 migrants came across the channel yesterday?
I know, absolutely.
That's 1,769 since last Wednesday.
Which hotel they're going to be going to?
Put them in the Bell Hotel. That should mix things up.
I want people to contact me. Where are the hotels in Lincolnshire as well? I know of some of them, but I want to get writing letters about them. Yeah.
Well, we're only allowed to know about 70 of them, even though there are about 203, 204. And by the way, one last point before we go to break, Andrea. They keep saying, we're getting all these migrants out of the hotels and we're going to put them in, housing, social housing, private rentals. I mean, two things about that. I think, well, that's just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Yes. I don't think people, in the end, particularly care about the kind of accommodation these people are getting. What they'd like to see is them moved out of the asylum seeker hotels and then out of the country.
Oh, completely. But the next stage for Labour is going to be in homes, isn't it? Yeah. Houses. I mean, don't forget, Rayner hinted at this during the election. It's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, what makes Starmer and the gang think that they keep saying, we're going to get them out of the asylum seeker hotels? That's not what people essentially are protesting about. It's not the style or the kind of accommodation that we're giving.
Bugger off to your own country.
Yeah, it's like, why are we still letting them in at the rate of 1,800 a week?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
People just want us to stop paying hard-working taxpayers' money on them. Deport them, and as I said, in the temporary situation while we're getting ready to deport them, put them in tents. We've got to be hard. No benefits, no cards where they get a daily allowance. And did you see the recent thing where some more veterans have been evicted? That's
our story last night in Bolton.
Oh yeah, of course it was.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the housing association responsible for their eviction insists that these 11 brave heroes who fought for their country on the front line aren't being evicted to make way for asylum seekers. But it does bring into sharp focus that that's the way this country treats military veterans, so many of whom are homeless, and yet we go to the ends of the earth to provide lavish accommodation for foreigners who break into this country illegally. It's perverse.
It is, and this is why I'm trying to reset the balance across Lincolnshire. My veterans village, with the conversations and meetings I've been having, it looks like, fingers crossed, that we can start building the foundations in the next 12 months and get this off the ground. So
that sounds great.
And to me, it's about putting that stake in the ground that, look, we care about you, we care about British citizens, and we're going to reset that balance, because that's what we really need to do.
I'm sure you want to help local military vets, but I've got 11 guys in Bolton who could do with a bit of a hand at the moment.
Absolutely.
Listen, we're going to go to break now, and when we come back, Andrew, we're going to talk about some local Lincolnshire stories that you already, I'm sure, know about, but I think will interest you. We'll talk about that next, so stick around, folks.
Qatar, surprise, surprise, and Saudi are saying Hamas can no longer rule Gaza in order for there to be a path to peace or a two-state solution. Keir Starmer didn't say that. That's ridiculous. Keir Starmer just put conditions on Israel, which are ridiculous conditions. Like you said, anybody reading that would have thought that they made a mistake. And that's what we have. Again, I think it's performative. It's very damaging for us. But ultimately, thank God that the United States have got some moral clarity on this issue.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Dame Andrea Jenkins, Reform UK Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire. Well, Madam Mayor, I want to talk about a couple of local stories. As you said, we revealed last night that 11 military veterans are being kicked out of their housing association flats in Bolton in a row with the local council over who pays their rent, basically. But it just reveals how our values have been twisted, and we are prioritising the welfare of asylum seekers and foreigners who break into our country illegally over the welfare of people who've risked their lives for their country. Now, this is a matter that concerns North East Lincolnshire. Now, there's one Reform councillor there. I'm sure you know who he is. He comes on our show quite a lot.
He's very sound, isn't he? Yeah.
Nice young man called Oliver Freeston. Well, let's watch this video. It speaks for itself.
Actually, I'd like to do is propose that we amend section number 2 and just include a sentence in the letter to the Secretary of State. I'm not an expert on housing policy, but I think we should go one further. We should ask the Secretary of State and say that Council is behind requesting a change to the housing policy to ensure that armed forces veterans are given priority on housing over any other groups, such as asylum seekers. And we refer back to the homeless situation. This is valid amendment. Yeah. We see that there's a problem with homelessness. For me, the way to tackle that is by showing, not just through words, not just nice letters that we send, but showing that we mean it, that armed forces veterans, British people, should be put before any asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, call them what you want. So if we can support that amendment and show tonight that actually we do believe that armed forces are the bread and butter of our country, I'd love to see the support for it. I will need a seconder for the amendment. As we know, I'm the lone Reform voice in this chamber, so if anybody's brave enough on any bench to second that and actually put the money where the mouth is, it'd be great and we can have a vote on it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do we have a seconder?
No one brave enough.
Well, Andrea, I would say that silence...
Disgusting, isn't it?
That silence speaks volumes. Yes, disgusting. And what's even worse is that's a Tory majority council. Those are mainly Conservatives in there. What happened to their Conservative values? What happened to their belief in supporting our boys, the men and women who've risked their lives on the front line in wars, fighting for this country? And what was so outrageous about what Oliver suggested there, that he couldn't even get a seconder? And here's the deal. He said that after that he heard whisperings that everyone, all these Tories, these Conservatives, that party you used to be in, were talking about Oliver's dangerous rhetoric. What? What is going on?
Look, first of all, fair play to Oliver. I mean, to stand up, that lone voice for the public. I mean, he was our parliamentary candidate. Hopefully he'll knock Melanie out next time, who I've been having a public spat with this week. And look, we've got a lot of One Nations left in the party. This is why they're going to be obsolete eventually. And this is a problem. You know, why we know there's issues in northeast Lincolnshire. We know the feeling about illegal migration there. And I got loads of votes in that area, and we are targeting that council next year. Touch wood, we will win some seats. But it's abhorrent. I mean, it's speaking about our veterans who stuck up for our country. It's awful.
It really is. Now, Oliver sent me another missive to do with this council, this rather dubious council. That was a full council meeting, by the way. Yeah. Now, before a full council meeting, this being a Christian country, the tradition has been to say Christian prayers, to read Christian prayers. That is being scrapped. The council has decided to scrap the reading of Christian prayers before full council meetings, and I quote, to reflect the UK's multicultural society. What's that about? I'll tell you one thing, Andrea, that'll
happen in Parliament under a Labour government next. You can see it as well, can't you? But I call them the Uni Party now. They are.
Yeah. You see, but you see, it's all very well to talk about Britain's multicultural society, by the way, which is turning out to be a bit of a disaster, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But this is not a secular nation. We have a state religion. It's called Christianity, the Church of England.
Church of England, exactly.
So this is a council in the country of Britain where we have a state religion. So it isn't about reflecting a multicultural society. It's about paying respect to this nation's official religion. What are they doing scrapping that?
But also, if you look at the demographic of Grimsby, it's mainly Christian British people anyway, and look at the council. So why are they pandering? You wouldn't see this happening in other countries. Could you see this happening in Pakistan?
No, it's the diminution of traditional British culture.
You see this happening in Iraq, Iran?
No, it's the diminution of traditional British culture that more and more politicians...
I'm a Christian, and I respect all faiths, of course I do. Yeah. I mean, I was brought up in a household where my dad went through every different, he discussed the Quran, with Christian family, he discussed Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, just so we'd have a rounded view. But ultimately, we should be proud of our faith of our country. It's dwindling, sadly, because I think, unfortunately, the church has gone a bit left-wing, so I think we're going to lose that. Can I also point out something hot off the press?
Yeah, please do. Go ahead.
You had one of our great workers, Dave Smith, didn't you?
Yeah, Dave Smith from
the oil refinery.
Yeah.
Well, he's messaged me while we're in this conversation, and 9 a.m. tomorrow, the oil refinery runs out of crude oil.
That's right, because he told me that last week. He came on last week, and that's it, isn't it? That's it, isn't it? That's the end.
Well, we're still fighting for a buyer. How has this been allowed to happen? It's awful. And we've also apparently their Facebook page, Save Lindsay Oil Refinery, that said on another message, it's disappeared. What's happened to that?
Has it? Oh, it's probably the Online Safety Act or something like that.
Oh, yeah, it probably is, isn't it?
Yeah, I bet you it is. It probably just says local laws prevent you seeing this. Yeah, unbelievable. Listen, Andrea, I've got to move on, but it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Excellent. Thank you very much for your time. That's Dame Andrea Jenkins, Reform UK's Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, putting the world to rights with me. Now, we're going to go to break now. When we come back, we're going to talk to a guy called Stephen Francis. He was a security guard at asylum seeker hotels, and he's got quite a tale to tell, so you want to stay tuned for that. Stick around.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're just waiting to connect with Stephen Francis. He's a former military man. He worked in several asylum seeker hotels, asylum seeker centres. And just to give you a gist of a spoiler alert, but a bit of a gist of what he's going to tell you, is he's a military man, and he says that our asylum seeker hotels used to be guarded by, men and women who used to be in the army, people who knew what they were doing about security. And they used to run these places, with a rod of iron. They used to run them with discipline. Anyway, over the years, the military security aspect has been sort of jettisoned. And now the people who guard these hotels, who run these hotels, are from the hospitality trade. And Stefan says that basically discipline has gone down the gurgler. It's that, that they're now chaotic places where the migrants rule the roost. And he says, they're driving around on £1,000 e-bikes. They're illegally working. They're basically, these hotels have turned into lawless free-for-alls. So as soon as we get Stefan, we'll bring you that story. In the meantime, why don't I read you a few texts that we've been receiving. Thank you very much for sending them all as usual. This is from Matt in Grimsby. Funnily enough, we were just talking about Grimsby, weren't we, with Dame Andrea Jenkins. This is Matt. I think Keir is on a self-destruct mission, as he knows he is finished, and so he's going to do as much damage as he can and leave it to Reform to sort out. I think that's a kind of interesting idea. A lot of people think that somehow or other Keir Starmer is doing this deliberately, either just because he knows he's finished and he doesn't really care and he's just doing it to be destructive, or it's some kind of grand plan that he has because he's a sort of communist Marxist type and, he wants to destroy the fabric of capitalist Britain or something like that. I don't buy into either of those theories. I think he's just useless. I just think he's just useless. Couldn't organise a booze up in a brewery. That's why we're in the mess that we're in. Here's one from Rich. It says, Kev, only a Labour Prime Minister with a 180-seat majority could fear two idiots in their own party. Just deport the opposition instead of destroying the country, but they can't even do dictatorship properly. Just a clown car of a country and management. Betty says that. Let's take a call while we try and get hold of our military friend. Let's talk to Daryl in Lincoln. Hello, Daryl.
Oh, hi. How are you doing? All right.
Yeah, good.
I'm just ringing in about this online, law that they're bringing out. I think this is really, really scary, actually, and I think we should kick up more of a fuss about it, really, because this is the beginning of the end. This
is 1984. This is Orwell country. Yeah, it really is.
I mean, we've had CCTV. I mean, in this country, you can't walk anywhere without being on CCTV, I reckon, these days. And we've got ANPR cameras. We've got, these new cameras that see you in your car, whether you're wearing a seatbelt or whether you're on the phone or whether you're having a drink of water.
Yeah. And, surveillance society. We're the most surveilled people on the face of the planet. We have more CCTV cameras than any other country on earth.
And I firmly believe that Keir Starmer, I think he has actually got a plan. And because people say, why isn't he doing this? Why isn't he doing that? And I actually think that he wants the British people to rise up to sort of almost revolt so that he can clamp down on us, accusing everybody of being far right, bring the army and the police in to really quell us, and then enforce more laws and restrictions.
Yeah, I mean, I think he may well do that, But I don't think it's a plan. I don't think he's got the brains to work all that out. I think we are stumbling from one chaos to the next chaos, from one crisis.
He's a really, really devious, clever person.
Clever? You think he's clever?
I do. Yeah.
He's not clever, Daryl. He's not clever.
Yeah, but look how he's got it to be Prime Minister. I mean,
well, you know, he's just a politician. You can lie your way to the top. I mean, snake in the grasses in Westminster do very well.
But I mean, he, you know.
He ain't clever, Daryl. He ain't clever.
Well, I don't know.
If he was clever, no prime minister, no leader of a country wants to be this unpopular, wants to make so many disastrous mistakes. If he was clever, he wouldn't be in this mess. He's in this mess because he's dim and he's useless.
Well, because I mean, I've watched him in Parliament several times on QMCs, and when Kemi Badenoch, she really rips into him sometimes, and I mean, he just sits there, not even bothered. He just doesn't seem to care at all, and I just think to myself, I don't think he actually cares about the people of this country.
No, I don't think there's any doubt about that. He cares about himself.
Yeah.
He cares about being Prime Minister. But you know, I get a lot of people, no offence, but I get a lot of people ringing in and sending me messages. This guy's very sinister and clever and devious, and he has a covert plan. Rubbish. He's just this sort of stumbling, useless weirdo. It's as simple as that. He does not have a plan. He's just trying to get through to next Tuesday. It literally is that. He's just trying to get from one day to the next.
I don't know. I honestly think that he's a villain, and he's a bad.
Well, he might be a villain, but he's not clever. He's not clever.
Well, I don't know.
Why would you want to compliment him like that?
Well, yeah, but it's not a compliment, but I just don't think we should underestimate what that guy's capable of. Because
no, you cannot underestimate Keir Starmer enough. Yes, I think that him and his Marxist cabinet have got kind of weird ideas, strange ideas, and they're trying to suppress freedom of speech in a cack-handed, useless kind of a way, but sinister and worrying nevertheless. Yeah. I mean, there's some kind of weird communist master plan that they've got going on, but you know, they're not clever. They're not going about it in a clever way. They're going about it in a sort of hopeless, clumsy, obvious way. But their problem, and this is why Keir Starmer is in such trouble, is they're so sort of hugely, catastrophically, breathtakingly, jaw-droppingly incompetent. They're useless. They're absolutely useless.
Very good at getting a personal army into the country that he can control, and that's exactly
what's that personal army?
Immigrants.
That's a personal army, is it?
Well, it could be, couldn't it? I mean, look at it like this.
They're not a personal army, Daryl.
Turn it on its head and think about this. Because he's already got the Palestinians on his side, and he's got Hamas on his side already. And if you think about all the illegal immigrants that are coming into this country by the thousands, all the time, British people are leaving this country by the droves. And I mean, everybody that you talk to, they just say, if I could afford to, I would leave this country tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I get that, but he's not going to turn all these migrants in the asylum seeker hotels into his personal army. I mean, that's taking conspiracy theories a little bit too far, if you don't mind me saying so.
They're all going to be on his side, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're not going to be his personal army, are they?
Well,
come on, let's get real.
I don't know.
No, they're not, Daryl. Daryl, what worries me about your line of thought, your line of argument, is it complements these arrant fools who are running this country, this absolute idiot who's the Prime Minister. You're complimenting them. You're saying they're clever, sinister, devious. They're nothing of the sort. They're clowns. They're idiots. And they couldn't organise a booze up in a brewery. That's the thing. That's the thing. So I respect your viewpoint, but I just think you're wrong. But we do agree on the Online Safety Act and suppressing freedom of speech, which they are doing to an extremely worrying level. And you're right, Daryl, what you originally said. We should rise up and we should protest, and we should not listen to idiots like Peter Kyle telling us that if we have doubts about the Online Safety Act, then we are siding with Jimmy Savile and pornographers and paedophiles, because that's crap. That is absolute rubbish. This act is far more than just aimed at protecting children. It's aimed at protecting the government from information it doesn't want in circulation, and that's what we got to stop. Daryl, good to talk to you, man. Thank you very much for a good call. Daryl in Lincoln. Let's go to break, and then we'll have Stephen Francis, a former Migrant hotel security guard. He's ready to speak after these messages.
Thus far, I am unashamedly delighted. Police officers in this country are assaulted in record numbers every day of the week. They need the protection of the courts. They need protection from their senior officers. They need protection from Parliament by ensuring that the right legislation with the right punishments is there to be handed down when people are arrested, charged and convicted, like this man has been on 2 counts today.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, let's go straight over to former Migrant hotel security guard and ex-military man, Stephen Francis. Welcome, Stephen.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So tell us, you worked, I think, across about 12 asylum seeker hotels a couple of years back, 23, 24. And as I'm told that you, in those days, the general system was that the hotels would be guarded and administered to by people like yourself, ex-servicemen, ex-military people. But then that changed and they brought in people from the hospitality trade, and now it's utter chaos. Tell us about your story.
Yeah, it's correct. Well, I originally started back in 2020 during when the first lockdown happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was through a security company. It was all, everyone in there was, 90% of the guys were ex-military, all pretty much close protection. We went wasn't like the security you see now, where they're like in high vis, and we were more classed as a welfare officer for there. So we would basically do everything in there. So you'd be sort of as security, but you wouldn't be like visually looking like a security guard. You'd be more just in plain clothes and dealing with all their welfare.
But you used to sort of run the hotels with a certain discipline. You used to make the migrants, you know, knock before entering rooms, get their own supplies, that kind of thing. Because if you're in charge of hundreds of people, you know, if you don't instigate sort of routines and discipline, it can turn into chaos, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So, you know, we would sort of get a system in place where, you know, like a score register, basically, like they'd all be on there. So if they wanted to go out the hotel, they had to book in and out through us. We'd have someone sort of manning the front door, so they'd sort of book in and out, basically tell us their room number. So all their details would be on the list there. So we'd book them out, what time they'd go out, and then same when they came in. Same for like meal times. It was all, you know, orderly queues. It'd turn up to us, give us their room number. And depending on how the size of the hotel, if it was a very big one with hundreds of them in there, then we'd sort of allocate floors, like half-hour slots, so we wouldn't get everybody coming at once.
Yeah. And then the system began to change. They brought in more and more kind of people from the sort of hospitality trade, so it became a little bit less disciplined and less kind of ordered. I'm seeing that you saw these migrants, some of them working illegally, cash in hand jobs, riding £1,000 e-bikes. Did you see them breaking any laws or anything like that?
Yeah, well, we'd get police turn up for. We've had some turn up for one guy basically hiding in bushes, jumping out in front of female drivers, exposing himself. And
this is an asylum seeker.
Back.
This is a migrant.
Correct. Yeah.
Going out of the hotel,
correct.
hiding in bushes, jumping out of the bushes, and exposing himself to drivers. Female drivers.
Female drivers, yes.
And did the police come to the hotel?
Then,
did the police come to the hotel about that?
Yeah, basically just brought him back to us. So
they just brought him back. They didn't do anything else.
No, because that hotel, we had like women and children in it as well. So basically, all that was done, he was just moved out of that hotel, and obviously we would report it, and obviously say, you know, we've got females and children in this hotel, so they basically just don't solve the problem. They just move the problem and move them to an all-male hotel, basically.
And I mean, how did you find working there generally? Did you enjoy the work, or did you find it frustrating? Were you there when it was kind of changing and more hospitality workers were coming in to run these joints? Were you there during the transition, as it were?
Yeah, so I basically did it over like a 2-year period, but like split each year between about 18 months from a couple of different companies. So the first time, a lot of us got on it because the lockdown happened, and a lot of us worked overseas, so we basically couldn't get back out for months, so we lost our jobs there and then. So that's how a lot of us originally found ourselves on it. And back then it wasn't really known so much to the public. It was more, they labelled it as asylum seekers and things like that, so not what they really are.
Which is illegal migrants. Did they get? Were you surprised by the amount of free stuff they got? Because we did a story earlier in the week where we got footage from behind one asylum seeker hotel, 600 migrants living there. They were getting 4 free meals a day, breakfast, lunch and dinner, but also in the afternoon, free snacks delivered to their rooms. They were getting free phones when they arrived. They got mobiles. A lot of them had to make a difficult choice between a Samsung or an Apple. They were able to make free phone calls back to their home countries, a constant convoy of food coming in, free taxis coming in to pick their kids up to take them to school and then back. in the evening, and so on and so forth. Did you sort of see that kind of generosity on the British taxpayers' part towards these migrants?
A lot of that, but it's by the signs of that now, it's got a lot more slacker now to when we sort of done it. We would never, there was never a fourth meal back then, and even if there was, there's no way we'd have delivered it to their rooms. We'd have had an allocated room somewhere, and they can come to us and basically sign for it out and like that. We'd never go door to door and be delivering stuff to them. Same with the toiletries. When they wanted it, it would be stored with us, and if they wanted it, they had to come to us to get it. So, you know, as much as what was given to them, we had to try to make them do things themselves at the same time. But when, like you said, when it changed to like the hospitality, it was more when some people stayed on for a little bit, but I had a bit of a month off in between, and when I came back, a lot of it completely changed. So like all the laptops, there was no laptops anymore, anything sort of logging who they were or anything like that. So like I said to him, where's the computers? All we had was a phone. And then,
it became a kind of lawless, disordered free-for-all then, yeah?
Yeah, all the stuff that we had in place had vanished at that time. And then, so like, I turned up, when we got to meal time, I said, how you, because the reason why we sort of ticked them off for meal times, so you knew where they were. So if someone hadn't come for meal for quite a few days in a row, then we'd basically go and do a welfare check and see why they haven't gone to their meals. And or sometimes if it wasn't a hotel, if it was a hotel sort of out of a big city, then a lot of times they've done a runner because they want to be in the big cities, really, not some small town, say Gloucestershire or something like that, you know.
So they would just leave the hotels and head for the big cities, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously the early days, they probably would. Some of them were getting houses quicker than what they would now. So some, if they had mates and they were all in a house somewhere, they would disappear and go there because basically all they knew their mates would working, all their cash and hand jobs.
And did they complain about anything? Did they complain about the quality of the food or anything like that?
All the time. They're not grateful for what they've got. They're not grateful for what they got. They constantly complain about the food, the rooms. Sometimes they weren't big enough, or they wanted a bigger room, or they like the mosque thing that they'd ask for that, and we'd basically say you've got a room, so you don't need a mosque. You've got your own room.
So they demanded to turn a conference room or something into a mosque, because that's one of the things that we saw at the hotel that we got footage from on Monday, a place called the Copthorne Hotel in Sussex, and one of the kind of conference rooms had been turned into what was called a temporary mosque, but considering they'd been there for years, it's kind of a permanent mosque. And funny enough, both the staff and the residents would pray there. So you were asked by these migrants to set up a mosque, but you refused to do so, just said they could pray in their own rooms, right?
Yeah, we basically would say, you know, you've got your own room so that you can pray there, basically. So, because, and like you said with the telephones, things like that was never a thing in my time. What we would do, if it was a new location, we'd be in there for about a week before any of them would turn up. So we'd go around the whole hotel, every room, we'd take out every phone,
really?
Irons if they had it. Yeah, we remove anything like that. Like some bathrooms will have a glass, drinking glass, anything like that would be removed. Kitchens, all cutlery, knives, spoons, all that sort of stuff, plates would all be stored away because we'd bring in plastics or wooden cutlery, and then food would be served on like polystyrene takeaway sort of tray things. So any sort of sharps, any stuff like that was gone. And we. Because obviously when
they complained about, I mean, they complained about the food, they complained about the size of the rooms. Did you sort of point out to them that they were kind of lucky to have this, considering they weren't having to pay for anything?
Oh, all the time. We'd say to them, if I lost my job, I'm home every now, I'm on the streets. We say, you've got 3 meals a day, you've got a roof over your head, you've got Wi-Fi, TV, appointments, you got everything's given to you, whereas I wouldn't get that, or or famous there, and from this country, really, you wouldn't get that.
Unbelievable. A little bit about yourself, Stefan. You served in Afghanistan, did you?
Yes, twice, yes.
Yeah. And when did your tours of duty finish? Yeah.
I did 2008 to 2009, and my last one was in 2011.
Okay. And what are you up to now?
Still working in the industry, but I wouldn't go back to that again.
You wouldn't go back to migrant hotels?
When it did go, no, unless they give me a job, take them on planes and take them back away, then yeah. But when it went to the hospitality, after about 12 months, they lost the contract and they went back to sort of security, military guys again, and that's when I sort of went back to it. That's the thing with like my industry. Sometimes you can do 12 months on a job, then you're looking again. So I think a lot of the guys were doing it because it was more of a safety net, because obviously you've got families and it was guaranteed work. And
it was lockdown time as well, wasn't it? So, listen, Stefan, really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. We'll keep in touch. That's Stefan Francis, former migrant hotel security guard, former military man. Another glimpse behind the closed doors and the darkened windows and the security blockades of our increasing number of asylum seeker hotels. Good, isn't it? Now, after the 9 o'clock news, it's Kinsey Schofield and the latest news from Planet Meg, and you won't want to miss that. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In a little while, I'll be taking your calls, 03444 991 Be careful what you say, though, because Keir Starmer's Ministry of Truth jackbooted coppers will be snooping, and we could end up in jail. I want to talk about the Online Safety Act. Don't listen to the Labour government when they say it's only about protecting children from online pornography and online violence. That is a lie. It's about shutting down information that they don't like, including a story revealing that no one has named their baby, their newborn baby, after the Prime Minister Keir Starmer over the past year. A little bit of a disparaging story about the Prime Minister's lack of popularity. We can't have that. So that was closed down. That was blocked. Ridiculous. Let me know what you think about that. 03444991000. RIP freedom of speech under our sinister socialist government, folks. 03444991000. Plus the asylum seeker crisis, the migrant crisis. 898 came across the channel illegally yesterday, taking the total for the week to over 1,700. These people alone will cost us over the next year £71 million. They cost £40,000 a year each. So it's extraordinary, the money involved in this, the money that you and I are paying for. It's extraordinary. 03444991000. Let me know what you think about Jaguar. Go woke and you go broke. The boss has quit after sales of that classic British car plummeted by 97.5% after the company came out with a weird wokey advert and got rid of the famous logo, the Jaguar, the roaring Jaguar logo. And came out with some designs, concept cars that were frankly hideous. Woke, go woke, and you go broke. 03444991000. Let us know what you think about that or any other issues. We're here to talk. It's good to talk on Talk. Before we get to you, though, this is the good bit. We're going to go over live to Los Angeles to speak to the great Kinsey Schofield about the latest goings-on Planet Megan. Hi, Kins.
Yeah, I mean, she is on her own planet lately, isn't she?
She really is. She's on her own planet, and it's dubious whether Harry's there or not. Let's start off, Kinsey, with a rather good story that kind of emerged today. Now, Meghan Markle, as we know, has styled herself as, you know, the new domestic goddess of America. There's been talk that she's the new Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart, of course, the queen of homemaking and domestic entertaining, been doing it for years. America loves her. She's great at her job. Now, Meghan, you know, who also fancies herself as the queen of homemaking, has been styling herself. People have been calling her the new Martha Stewart. Now, I think it's pretty clear that the real Ms. Stewart, Martha Stewart, isn't that keen on this. Let's have a look and a listen to what she had to say about this.
What is it like to watch other celebrities, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow, Meghan Markle, going in your footsteps and following something that you've really started?
I don't mind. Good luck. And Gwyneth's been very successful, by the way. I think she's created quite an interesting body of businesses. She's admired. She's a fantastic. She won an Oscar, for heaven's sake, as an actress. You know, she's pretty powerful. Meghan, I don't really know very well, and I hope she knows what she's talking about. Authenticity to me is everything, and to be authentic and knowledgeable about your subject matter is extremely important.
Yeah, you know what the translation of that is, Kinsey? Martha Stewart doesn't think Meghan knows what the hell she's talking about. Martha Stewart thinks that Meghan's pretense that she's the queen of homemaking and domestic entertaining is a shameless pretense. She's very diplomatic, extremely complimentary to Gwyneth Paltrow, but I think right there, making her feelings about Meghan Markle's pretense that she's good at this stuff very clear.
Yeah, I mean, Martha's an OG. She spent some time in the Slammer. I'm not messing with Martha Stewart. And she initially
Tax, right? Tax.
Yeah. And it was, I think it was moving around stocks when she heard whispers, insider trading whispers. Wasn't that what it was?
Something like that. But she knows what she's talking about when it comes to...
No, I'm just saying that this is a tough cookie, and you don't go head to head with Martha Stewart. You don't challenge her. If Martha is critical of Meghan, she has to sit back and take it, because not only has Martha really built her own brand from the ground up, she's lived through so many tough experiences that I mean, one of her best collaborators is Snoop Dogg. She's always over here on TV with Snoop Dogg, you know. she's just so versatile, and that's not something you can say about Meghan. And I also think that Martha can move in these different circles, whether she's, you know, Miss Prim and Proper on whatever home shopping network or whatever lifestyle network she appears on. But she can also go beyond something that is wildly Snoop Dogg crazy, like the Comedy Central roast, because of that authenticity that she was talking about. And obviously she feels like Meghan Markle lacks that.
Yeah, and I think Martha will have seen, unfortunately for her, along with the rest of us, the horror of With Love, Meghan.
Well, she makes sure we all know she hasn't. She makes sure she's above that. She doesn't have time to see it, she tells. She recently told, I think it was Access Hollywood or Entertainment Tonight or one of the entertainment shows here, that she hadn't seen it. But that's also a dig, because she's saying she's too good for it. She's saying, I'm not going to waste my time.
I think, I mean, that may or may not be true. I would suspect Martha Stewart might have had a quick look, and that's why she is questioning Meghan's authenticity when it comes to styling herself as a domestic goddess. Because, as you remember, in all your nightmares, Kinsey, With Love, Meghan was basically a sort of feeble festival of fruit and vegetable cutting, wasn't it? You know, just hours and hours of it.
Between compliments of Meghan Markle, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I suspect if Martha didn't see it, she's heard about it, and she questions Meghan's skills and expertise as well. She might, because With Love, Meghan was just a display of amateurism. You know, just like, you know, I quite fancy myself as being sort of quite good at entertaining my friends when they come around. I do a bit of cooking myself. You know, does that mean I warrant a TV series? No, it doesn't. She's just someone, you know, who's, you know, cooked up a few dishes and thinks that makes her an expert at cookery, at entertaining, at all things domestic. It's rubbish, isn't it?
And I've seen this really interesting conversation happening online. When Meghan did the Time Summit in New York with Blake Lively, oh God, what a nightmare room that was. Ryan Reynolds went on the stage shortly after Meghan did, but Blake was awarded Time 100, one of their, and you're all just sitting there going, oh my God, how easy is it to manipulate the media when you have two of the most loathed people that are being celebrated by Time magazine. Meghan made it a point to say that it was Netflix's idea, her show. Meghan made it a point to say, well, I sent so-and-so at Netflix some jam, and they called me up and they said, this is it. This is what you should do. Let's build a brand around this. So she is putting all of the responsibility on them. So if this does fail, if this, and you know, I am told contract, yes, absolutely dead. But Meghan could get a season 3. That's what we're hearing here. Season 3, that she could get that because Netflix doesn't want egg on their face. Yeah. But was that the strategy when she said...
You don't do a series for that. $20, we don't see series 3. $50.
Okay, I think we will. I think we will. I think we will.
We got a bet on that. $50. All right.
I think Netflix. Well, we just not too long ago had Ted Sarandos in Variety talking about how much he believes in her, but Meghan puts all of the responsibility, she puts all of the blame on Netflix in that moment when she was like, it's their idea. I sent them jam and they loved it so much they said we're going to build an entire brand around this.
What a ridiculous
thing.
And
that's not true, because in Tom Bower's book and in others' books, they talk about Meghan before she met Prince Harry going to the UK and pitching travel shows where she would go be the foodie, and she wanted to be on some type of foodie show.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but see, Ted Sarandos, right? You know, okay, he seems to be a bit of a fan of Meghan, and I think he mistakes. I mean, he's obviously a very smart guy. Don't get me wrong. He's the chief executive of the biggest streaming company in the world. Respect and all that, but I think he makes a mistake. I think he thinks just because Meghan commands loads of column inches in all the papers. You know, people like you and me want to talk about her. She's on people discussion point on television, on radio. I think he thinks because of that there must be money in that. The thing is, though, the narrative surrounding the Duchess of Sussex isn't because people love her. It's the opposite. People find her sort of like kind of compellingly unpleasant. You know, kind of she's of car crash interest. You're drawn to her because she seems so awful. Now, I don't think there is money in that, and that's why I think Sarandos is wrong about this, and that's why I don't think
there is money in that, but it would be the Kinsey and Kevin documentary taking down Meghan. What happened to Bogart, her dog that she abandoned, on Netflix, the 2-hour special where we travel to Canada and try to locate the rescue dog she abandoned? There's money in it. But there's not money in it.
For us. Let's get up there.
There's not money. Door knocking Trevor Ingleson. There's money to be made, but just not the type. I was reading this book about entrepreneurship called Blue Ocean Strategy. And in the book, they talk about how if you're going to be a great brand, you need to focus on audience feedback. You don't need to focus on your competition. And in securing Harry and Meghan, I feel like Netflix, even in maybe keeping a hold of Harry and Meghan, I feel like Netflix is so worried about other people getting them. Maybe that was why the initial deal happened or was so big in the first place, because we do know that they were talking to Quibi, that micro video site, before they stepped down as working members of the British royal family. Behind the royal family's back, they were talking to them about developing content. Harry was talking to Amazon Video, Jeff Bezos, about something with Invictus Games, perhaps streaming the Invictus Games award show live. That, of course, ripped away because of the Netflix deal. And Harry had a deal with Apple Plus that had to, I guess, be terminated when he moved over to Netflix. He had appeared in a docuseries with Oprah Winfrey called The Me You Can't See, and then he was supposed to develop some content for Apple. So with Netflix, I feel like they were acting based on competition. Let's grab them because they're talking to all of these other people. That's what makes them valuable. When in reality, I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me and said, I've canceled my Netflix subscription because I am so angry that Netflix keeps catering to these entitled liars and babies.
Well, this is why I think my $50 is safe, and that you will owe me the money, because although Ted Sarandos...
Well, then make it pounds.
All right, 50 quid, 50 pounds. It's a deal. It's a deal. Because Ted Sarandos, while he seems to think there's money in this woman, he has shareholders to serve, to please, to keep happy. They are not going to want Netflix to spend any more money on Harry and Meghan, particularly Meghan, because With Love Meghan basically flopped, and they would prefer Netflix to spend money on success stories, not failures.
Yeah, but well, you know, reality TV is so cheap, and this is nothing but reality television. It's nothing but reality television. And reality TV, there's so much of it because it costs pennies. They rent a house in Montecito for the week. And Meghan has, how many people did she say? She said how many crew members there were, because she said she didn't want them around her children. But, you know, you've got the crew members.
Well, it shouldn't be a problem because they weren't at her house, were they?
Right, right. You know, we know her friends, you know, from Central Casting aren't being paid. Like Mindy Kaling was likely not paid a fee to be there. So I think it's probably an incredible, the cost probably skyrockets when you imagine all of the farmers market produce and, you know, veggies and delicious fruits that they're buying that Meghan claims are from her homegrown garden. But I imagine it's a pretty cheap production.
Yeah, I mean, you could be right, but I don't make that bet, the £50 bet, lightly, Kinsey. That's 2 weeks' wages for me, you know. So if I lose, I'll face destitution. I really, really will. Let's very quickly, because I want to talk about Harry's recent trip to Africa. There's an interesting element to it. But just quickly, I don't want to dwell on this too long, but great news, breaking news, exciting news. There's a new vintage of Chateau Meg coming out. Now, this is after about a month or so. 1st of July, didn't it? The first version came out. $110 it will cost you to get hold of any, because you've got to buy at least 3 bottles and then $20.
When is she releasing this? On Diana's death?
Yeah, no doubt. Anyway, she's posted, so there's a new vintage coming out of the rosé wine, Chateau Meg, and this is what she's posted on As Ever's Instagram page. Listen to this, right? Oh, how we love seeing the world through rose-coloured glasses. Rosé-coloured glasses. Perhaps even better. Our new vintage of As Ever's beloved rosé is available next week. I was thinking, beloved? Available? Both are pretty unlikely, right? I mean, available. Nothing is ever available on As Ever, is it?
Well, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge that your Meghan Markle impression sounds a lot like Doc Holliday in Tombstone. Yeah. So, but yeah.
Well, that's not bad. I like that. I like that film.
Absolutely, it's my favorite. She's a few weeks early if she was going to try to hit Diana's death date. So I guess I appreciate the fact that she's not trying to hijack that too, after she hijacked her birthday, the same woman that died in a drunk driving related incident. I don't care about this. She bores me to tears. I sent this story to a friend yesterday and said, my God, she's so boring. I do not care about any more of her liquor.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't want to spend too long on it. But what will happen, you heard it here first, is this will go on sale. About 5 minutes later, she will triumphantly announce, it's so popular, it's sold out already, without revealing that actually she only had 10 bottles for sale in the first place. That's what will happen. Let's go on to something slightly...
Also, but I would just like to say, when you sell out the first go-round, why don't you say, but don't fret, I have more coming next month? Like, that's why I don't trust anything she does. None of her actions make sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. And her, as I always say to you and to anyone who wants to listen, it's an extraordinary, a strange business model for a commercial enterprise to be based on not having anything available to sell or buy. That's her business model. You can never get anything from As Ever because, according to her, it's so popular everything's sold out, but everything sells out within 5 minutes. It's really bizarre. I'll tell you what else was quite bizarre, I think. When Harry, was it a couple of weeks ago, last week, when he went to Africa to retrace his mother, Princess Diana's footsteps in Angola, to pay tribute to her excellent campaign against landmines, the landmines that are the scourge of the continent, but particularly in Angola. Poor kids step on them and have their legs blown off and everything. So he went there to remember the work of his mother. There he is, going through a landmine area. So, you know, I thought, rather cynically, this was basically to remind the world of his connection to Diana because he's got financial problems and Diana is good for cash. That's what I thought. But then again, I'm an old cynical hack, so don't necessarily listen to me. I'm maybe being a little unfair. Anyway, because that's what I do, Kinsey. You know, I'm unfair for a living. Anyway, so... After this, though, we thought he was coming home, but we've only just found out what he actually did.
Wait, I told you this a couple days ago, that he went to Botswana.
But to Botswana, and then he went to see...
Yeah, I told you this a couple days ago.
Did you? Yeah. So he went to see... Who's this T.J. Jenkins? Who are they?
Okay, so this is who he says is his second mother. So when Princess Diana died, he went to Botswana, and there was this couple, and this woman looked at him like she could not figure out what he was about. And he said he remembers her just watching him from afar, trying to understand him. But the more time he spent with her, the more she really started to love on him. And he said that he was kind of like one of these wild animals and she tamed him. through just the love of, the kind of unconditional love you get from your mother. And so one day she jokes, she was poking fun at him about something, and he said, "Okay, Mom." And she loved that. And he calls her Mom now. And he says,
that's a bit creepy, isn't it? It's creepy.
Well, I don't mind this. I don't mind this. But what I will say to you is, and I said this on Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered yesterday, I understand that Meghan mothered Harry up when they first got together. Meghan was a very maternal figure, and Meghan loved on Harry in a way that he felt he needed after the loss of his mother. Like, he loved that she was very maternal.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
But with the addition of 2 small children, I wonder if Harry feels a bit abandoned by Meghan, because now her attention is elsewhere. It's on these 2 small toddlers that do need a mother's attention, that do need someone following them around, chasing them around, keeping scissors out of their hands, whatever. Does he feel a little bit abandoned? Does he feel like that attention he received from her is no longer there? When do we go home and kind of disappear and sink into darkness and our parents' couches and in their beds and eat their meals? It's when we need to lick our wounds. It's when we're hurting over something. It's when we feel lost, when we feel alone, and when we just need to recharge. And that's what I see here.
So this couple, TJ Jenkins and her husband Mike, apparently live in the back of beyond, in the real remote area of Botswana. Botswana is Harry's favourite country. He loves it, calls it his second home. Anyway, they live in the back of beyond in Botswana, and while he was there, he's off grid, uncontactable for 3 days. Now, you wonder why he wanted to go off grid and be uncontactable for 3 days. Could it be that he wanted a break from his manic wife's frantic attempts to persuade the public that, as ever, is a really successful business?
I think it's because I've heard that Meghan is very anxious about the idea of a royal reconciliation because she feels like she's being pushed out. That's what I understand. So maybe he wanted an escape from that because that's something that he does desperately want. And I have no sympathy for him because actions have consequences, and these are the consequences of his very ugly actions. But I also think we haven't had full access to the devastation that Harry feels about losing Senebale. Now, I know
that's an interesting point, pretty interesting
Lesotho is 400 miles away from Botswana. I'm not saying that but Dr. Sophie Shandaka said, okay, he visited once in 2024, but prior to that, he hadn't been here in 6 years. And another government official was like, Harry completely abandoned us when he met Meghan Markle. We feel like his lack of enthusiasm has negatively affected the charity. So I do wonder if he went there to kind of recenter and to heal, because I do think that he's devastated at the loss of Senebale, and I think that it really was harsh on his brand and his PR. I mean, Dr. Sophie Shandaka came out swinging. She never backed down. And at the end of that fight, we haven't received the information. There's an investigation. We don't know what that investigation, if it's still ongoing or what. But she was the clear winner in all of that.
Yes, she was. I agree with that, yeah. Because he just disappeared in that dispute. He first of all issued these statements. She hit back in no uncertain fashion.
And said it was your wife. She said, your wife behaved inappropriately at a polo match and she made me feel small. And so, no, we don't get along.
And so he just retreated, never to be heard of again. But I think you're probably right. I think the effect that the Senebale meltdown had on him was much more profound than we think. Listen, I'm going to read you something from Spare, his nasty little spiteful book. Of course, this was written by his ghostwriter. But this is about TJ Jenkins, his second mum, and her husband, Mike. Ready? She and Mike were the first people ever to cherish whatever wildness was still inside. Sorry, I've got to start that again. What's he talking about? Right. She and Mike were the first people ever to cherish whatever wildness was still inside me, whatever hadn't been lost to grief and the paps. The paps, the paparazzi. What is he talking about? That he lost his innate wildness to paparazzi photographers? Does he blame absolutely everything on the evil media, the evil press? He's nuts, isn't he?
He is. Like, and honestly, isn't it strange to you that he ends up with Meghan Markle, who wouldn't leave the yoga studio before calling the paparazzi in Toronto to make sure they were in position to catch her walking out with her yoga mat in the midst of Suits, in the midst of the fact that no one cared that she was on Suits?
Yeah.
I've been covering entertainment for 20 years. I'd never heard of Meghan Markle until she started dating Prince Harry, ever.
I think that's the same for all of us. Absolutely. I mean, it is strange. I mean, he adopts this constant pose of antipathy towards the press, hates the press, hates the papers, hates the media for all their meddling intrusion into his fantastic life, and yet doesn't seem to have worked out that he's married to someone who's trying to work the media for all she's worth. You know, trying to get in the press when she wants it, constantly dealing with publicists and PRs and so on and so forth. I just think he's too dim to make that connection.
Right. Well, he's guilty of it too. Sitting down with Anderson Cooper, sitting down with Brad.
Yeah.
I mean, when he wants to promote something, he's guilty of it too. And he looks like a total hypocrite. Sitting down with the BBC, saying that his family wants to harm him, and that's why he's not getting security. But by the way, I'd love a reconciliation.
Yeah, exactly right.
How much of Meghan's rosé did he dip into before that interview?
Don't forget, it's 14.5 strength alcohol, so that's the kind of hooch that can certainly change your mentality. I just think he's too dim to realise that he manipulates the media as well, or uses the media. But there you are. Listen, Kinsey, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time, and we're going to do Kinsey Schofield Recollections May Vary next Tuesday, aren't we? I will look forward to that, and in the meantime, have a fabulous weekend. Always great to talk to you. Thank you so much. That's the brilliant Kinsey Schofield. We better go straight to break, and then we'll come back with your phone calls, your messages, and your WhatsApp voice notes. Lots still to come. Stick around.
I think what we were just talking about, it is the donors, it's the rich, it's the elites, it's the fancy people in the media, no offense, who are all on the other side of the people. I wrote Adios America, which I do think influenced Trump's immigration policy quite strongly. And, you know, as I said in that book, I've never seen an issue where you have the people so much on one side and the elites and the politicians directly opposed to them.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Here's a quick text from Kevin. Great name. This is Kevin in Bristol. He says, it's casting some clarity on the Jaguar issue. Me and Robert Bates, I think, probably revealing ourselves not to be car experts or enthusiasts in particular. But Kevin has said it straight. He said, hi, Kev, as a proud owner of an F-Type Jaguar, great car, F-Type Jaguar convertible, just to let you know that the face badge on the grille, that's at the front, I guess, is called a Growler. And the bonnet mascot, that's the famous leaping Jaguar, is called a Leaper. So that's the Growler on the grille and the Leaper on the bonnet. Kev goes on to say, I agree with you. They have destroyed the brand by going woke and electric vehicle-ish. Only it's a stupid decision. It really, it's just what these corporations do these days. They self-harm by somehow thinking that the public wants them to abandon everything that they're about in pursuit of some kind of new woke and enlightened future. Absolutely ridiculous. Got a quick WhatsApp voice note here. This is Rich on Keir Starmer baby names.
Regarding the name Mohammed being the most popular name in the UK at the moment, it's been for years. My son is a clinical coder at a local hospital. So every name that comes through is through their department. And Mohammed has been the top of their list for the last 10 years, never mind the last year.
Well, I did say every year for some time now, it's inevitable. The top name or the most popular name in Britain is Mohammed, which is quite interesting if you think about it, because there's only 4 million Muslims in Britain. I say only, it's quite a few, I guess. 4 million Muslims in Britain, population of 70 million. How come Mohammed is the most popular name? And still, the vast majority of people in this country are not Muslims. I shouldn't think too many non-Muslims call their kids Mohammed, would you? I mean, is it that Muslims are, giving birth to a lot of kids? I don't know. Sounds like it, I guess. Interesting, no? Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Kevin. Another Kevin in Stoke-on-Trent. Hi, Kev.
Hi there, Kevin.
Hello. You want to talk about the Online Safety Act, yes?
That's right. I'm not going to start by asking how my namesake is, because I'm surprised, actually, you're not sitting there with your arms adrift and steam coming out your ear holes.
Well, metaphorically, I am.
Shouting, what the hell just happened to our country?
Yeah, what just happened? Exactly right.
Yeah. Basically, with regard to the internet blockage, shall we call it?
Yeah. And the social media sites. That's the main point of it. Yeah.
Yeah. As we know, sometimes you can be obligated to sign a non-disclosure agreement by the police.
By the police?
By the police, yeah.
Well, that's usually by employers.
Well, you can be.
I don't think that. Well, why would the police get you to sign a non-disclosure agreement? It's not the police, Kev. It's that it tends to be employers, people you work with, don't disclose details of your professional environment. That tends to be it. I don't think the police get people to sign NDAs.
Well, they've asked me to sign one.
About what?
Certain circumstances.
Well, the police have asked you to do that.
Yes.
Really?
They certainly have, yes.
Don't sign it, and if you do sign it, just ignore it. They don't have much legal power. NDAs, they're a sort of threat, and the people who've signed them, who then ignore them, find that nothing happens to them.
Oh, that's great news. But the point I was trying to make, Kevin, is with this internet blockage from the government, if I'm using the right terminology there, it seems like they are using a hypothetical or shall we say hypocritical, creating an NDA, shall we say, whenever it suits them.
Well, that's not an NDA. That is, I mean, when you try, what's happening is, if you're on Twitter or Facebook or something like that, and you want to look at footage, for example, of the asylum seeker hotel protests last weekend, it gets blocked, and you get a message saying, due to local law, access to this link is restricted.
But yeah, therefore, there's like non-disclosure.
Well, that's not non-disclosure. That's not an NDA, is it?
Well, they're not disclosing their...
Yeah, but it's not an NDA. That's nothing. That's not what it is. It's you're blocked online. You're blocked from seeing the footage. You're blocked from seeing stories that the Labour government doesn't like, basically.
Well, yeah. Therefore, they're not...
It's not under... please, let's not go down this NDA line. It's not an NDA.
Then who is...
You have to sign an NDA, don't you? So you're not signing anything when you can't see the asylum seeker protest in Leeds.
Surely, Kevin, as the general public, we are entitled to know everything.
Well, yeah, this is the crux of the issue, Kev. That's exactly it. We're entitled to see footage of the asylum seeker protest. We're entitled to see a story that suggests no one has called their baby Keir in the last year, and yet that is being blocked. We're being prevented from seeing this due to the Online Safety Act, which the Labour government pretends is only there to protect babies and children from online porn and violence, but isn't. It's there mainly to protect the government from information and stories that they don't want us to see. It's Orwellian censorship.
Exactly. I totally agree with you, Kevin, which is why I don't think the government have the rights to put a blockage on any of that info.
Well, yeah, I agree. I wish they wouldn't. I don't think they should have the right to do it, but they've done it.
This is why I feel as though they've created a hypothetical non-disclosure.
What is your problem with non-disclosure agreements? It's nothing to do with this.
It's not my problem.
It's not a non-disclosure agreement. Kevin, you've got to sign a non-disclosure agreement. It's a contract.
Well, that's what I said.
We haven't signed anything.
Exactly.
Now, look, Kevin, listen, I've got to go to break now, but it's not a non-disclosure. You need to actually, you say the police are trying to get you to sign one. I can't think why, but I think you ought to look up the definition of what a non-disclosure agreement is. But in the meantime, we agree about the Online Safety Act, and we agree about the sinister nature of this free speech crackdown by the Labour government. So on that harmonious note, I will bid you farewell and thank you very much for an interesting phone call. That's Kevin in Stoke-on-Trent. We better go to break straight away.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Still taking your calls. A couple of messages, a couple of texts here. This is an interesting one from Zoe. Something that I haven't heard much about in the UK. My home country of New Zealand has voted to restart fossil fuel and coal and oil mining and exploration, reversing the ban from 2017. When will the UK follow this lead? That's from Zoe. Well, Zoe, as soon as we get rid of this Labour government and that idiot net zero nutter Ed Miliband. But until such time as we manage to jettison this lot, I'm afraid we're probably stuck with it. Steve says, and this is a good point, the politicians don't help, but the civil service are running the illegal immigrant scandal. Can the Home Office officials be named and shamed? The answer to that is no. They do it quietly and secretly, but you're right, it is the Home Office who deserve a lot of the blame for our escalating migrant crisis. Pretty dreadful situation we're all in now, thanks to the civil servants who back up our stupid, useless government. Right, let's talk to Joe in Northern Ireland. He's a new caller. Welcome, Joe.
Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm all right. What would you like to say?
No, Kevin, it was just kind of a point. It's not. I want to come on here pretty level-headed. We're talking about the cost of the immigrants, illegal immigrants, and what it's costing the hard-working taxpayer.
Yep, a lot.
Well, it is, Kevin. There's no doubt about that. Now, I've worked since I was 17 years of age. I'm now 64 years of age. And what somebody said earlier was a hard-working taxpayer.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent the last 20 years of my life watching young teenage girls becoming mothers, some of them having 3 and 4 kids before the age of 21,
Mm-hmm.
and a sense of entitlement from them that the country owes them this, the country owes them that.
Are you talking about young people generally, or?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it's time that we sorted out the internal issues with our own people before we start sorting out the issues with illegal immigrants.
Well, I think yeah, but wait a second. I think we should do maybe both.
Yes, we should, but it makes me sick, the young generation, with this sense of entitlement that they have and have never contributed a single penny to the coffers of the revenue of this country.
Yeah, well, now Keir Starmer or the Labour government want to give the vote to 16-year-olds. So next time you see a 12-year-old skipping down the road, remember they'll be voting at the next election.
Kevin,
Yeah.
This has been going on for 20 years.
No, not the voting for 16-year-olds.
No, I'm saying the young people's sense of entitlement, and the Tories were in power for 14 years. So everything cannot be blamed on Labour.
No, and I wouldn't necessarily blame it on the Tories. It's probably teachers, isn't it? And parents.
Well, I don't know. I think it's...
You can't blame a government for whether or not kids feel entitled necessarily, can you? That is to do with teachers and parents.
No, it's to do with the country. If the money wasn't there to grab it, then the sense of entitlement wouldn't be there.
Well, possibly.
Yeah, so surely the cost should then be down to the parents.
Well, yeah. So, in other words, you're agreeing with me that the fault, if we have a generation of entitled kids, it's parents and it's teachers.
It's parents, yes.
And it's teachers.
The parents.
Pay for what?
For the cost of bringing up these kids.
Well, they do. I mean, most normal parents do pay for the cost of bringing up their kids, don't they?
Do they pay for the cost of bringing up the grandkids with their 16-year-old, 15-year-old, 17-year-old daughters?
Yeah, I mean, I think most 16-year-olds probably get paid for by their parents, which is why it's so ridiculous to give them the vote.
No, you're not answering the question, Kevin.
Well, what's your question?
when you see them, and they get their apartments, they get their houses, they get their buggies, they get everything paid for by the state, by our hard-working taxes.
Well, I mean, do they all get this? Do they all get this? I mean, I know what you mean.
You check and find out, Kevin.
I will check. I'll do that, Joe. I'll have a big check and find out all these. But I do agree with you, just in principle, that younger people or people are coming out of school and university with a rather entitled attitude, and they don't really want to work, a lot of them. So I know where you're coming from, Joe. But listen, I've got to move on, but thank you for an excellent call. That's Joe, new caller in Northern Ireland. Let's go to another break, and when we come back, more of your calls.
And if this trial, the retrial, goes on for another year, there is a chance that those two officers will have what is commonly known as Damocles' sword hanging over their lives and careers for 2 to 3 years. Now, police officers must behave themselves, and the public expect a certain type of behaviour which is exemplary. Now, there's every chance that that's exactly what will happen. But those officers, every day they go out, and bearing in mind they're armed officers, will have that worry over their head.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight back to the phone, shall we? Let's talk to Roy in Hampshire. Hello, Roy.
Hello, Kev. Mate, I've got a couple of points about this freedom of information like the Labour Party have done. I don't know, when Blair was in power, this was in front page of the Daily Mail years ago.
Yeah.
Blair's left Downing Street going to Parliament, and a guy in the crowd booed him. He had 7 coppers round him.
Would have been me.
To nick him for booing the Prime Minister. And he said, what about my freedom of speech? And apparently Blunkett had passed a law in Parliament a week before. It's illegal to boo your Prime Minister.
Are you sure that's a law? I don't think that's a law. But I mean, in principle, you know, what we've got an extension of that kind of syndrome now, because it seems like this Online Safety Act has made it difficult to criticise the government. Because they're going to, because this government seems to be cracking down on any information or stories that they don't think that they don't like, information they don't want in circulation. So we've got an extension of what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, second point is stabbing Israel in the back, mate.
Oh, God.
It's not that long ago.
In the front, I think they stabbed him in the front.
In the front.
Yeah.
But a little while ago, mate, it was in the press. The Israelis had informed us on 7 or 8 different occasions that the terrorists were going to launch an attack in this country. And the Secret Service or the National Crime Agency went in and arrested these people. Are the Israelis now going to keep giving us this information?
Oh, no. I mean, I think our relationship with Israel, one of our oldest allies, is in the toilet. It's over. And Netanyahu has got nothing but contempt for Keir Starmer and his Israel-hating cabinet, because that's what it's all about. Labour politicians don't tend to like Israel very much. In the past, it's been categorised, classified as anti-Semitism. I'm sure they'd all deny that now, but their antipathy towards Israel is obvious. We've also done, by vowing to recognise the state of Palestine, we've done irreparable damage to our relationship with America as well.
Yeah, they have, mate. Listen, you old hacks, have none of you looked into Starmer's background? We know he was a communist at university.
I tell you, I have done some extensive research, Roy, and I've managed to uncover something that he doesn't want us to know. His dad was a tool maker.
Oh, yeah.
I found that out all on my own. He doesn't like to talk about it, but it's true.
Yeah, but apparently he went to...
he was a Trotskyite. He spent loads of time in some sort of Trotsky camp in eastern countries somewhere. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of these people are like this. They're old trots. I think Tony Blair was a former Trotskyite.
But did they brainwash him to hate his country and to do everything he can to destroy his country?
Well, no, I don't think he had to be brainwashed into that. These Labour politicians, or some of them anyway, naturally feel that way. They don't like Britain. They don't like what they think is our colonial imperial past, and they want to sort of dismantle our traditions and our culture and everything that we think of as British. They don't like it. That's why they like open borders. That's why they like letting in millions of foreigners to dilute our culture.
I think what should happen to him, mate, they ought to bring him up the Thames, open Traitors Gate and put him through Traitors Gate and then stick him in the Tower of London.
Yeah, it works for me, Roy. Works for me. Whether that will happen, I think, is probably a moot point. But we can only live in hope, can't we? Roy, thanks, mate. Good call, Roy from Hampshire there. Let's go to another new caller. Got a lot of new callers tonight. Let's talk to Sue in Brighton. Hi, Sue.
Hi, Kevin. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Fab. Well, this is my first time calling.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. Well, so welcome to the show.
Thank you. I've just started watching you, and it's just more entertaining than any of the crap. So I'm going to get straight on
Thank
with
you.
a couple of points.
Yeah.
So, first of all, you've got to get a feed via satellite link for your programme to straight into
Don't talk to me about that. I just sit here and do the show. I don't know about all those technicalities.
So, personally, I'm struggling, as millions of us are, debt-wise. I've lost my job 2 months ago, and I have not got any benefit until next Tuesday.
Oh, no.
I am, but this is all, by the by, this isn't the main problem, but I'm struggling like hand to mouth.
I'm sorry to hear that, Sue.
No, that's fine. It's not fine, but I claimed, I'm so angry about this, a medication that I need, I now tick the box to say I am Universal Credit, because I claimed it from April.
Right.
So I need this medication very necessarily, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then I got a letter. I got a letter from the NHS saying, you claimed something and you're not eligible for that. You've got a penalty notice of £100.
You claimed something that they say that you were not entitled to? Yeah?
No, I was entitled to it.
Yeah, but why are they fining you £100?
I've got no idea, because they're saying that it was in the wrong assessment period.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So it's all like, red tape. I was from the end of April because I claimed it in May. I hadn't got my Universal Credit officially. So anyway, I'm waiting for money. I've got no money. And now you should have seen the reply I sent. Hope I don't get arrested for it. But basically, there's people like, the asylum seekers, as we all know, they come in, they're given...
Yeah. So, in other words, you're suffering from that well-known syndrome, taking second place to foreigners who illegally break into our country. Your problem, Sue, is you're British, and you know that our current government doesn't prioritise people like you. It prioritises asylum seekers, migrants.
30 years working, paying tax, thank heaven. So that accounts for nothing. Now I'm really, you know, almost. It's really, I'm really suffering, and I get a letter saying £100 because I claimed my medication free in the wrong week.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
They sent this thing. So I said, I am eligible. I said, oh no, go on your journal, click on this, and close down the PDF. Go into the right hand.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, bureaucratic night.
What would you say if I don't speak English? Would you get an asylum seeker?
Yeah, you'd be all right then. You'd be all right. Listen, Sue, why don't you give me a call tomorrow, because I've got to end the show now, but I'll be on air tomorrow night. Give me another call. We'll have a proper chat, and we'll see what we can do for you. Thank you very much for a good call, and all the best. Sue in Brighton. Andre Walker is in the studio. How are you, mate?
You're looking beautiful.
As always. You too.
Honestly, the pangs of joy when I see you. It's
I know.
Listen,
Everybody always says that to me.
We've got Barmy Brunch, Beanhead on